Chapter 1156. Mo Li had used the 9-dragon root to recover his strength, but Yi Qinghan had swindled him out of a drop of supreme divine power. That drop of supreme divine power was the one he had traded for the least, but he still had to ask for it. Yi Qinghan took the 9-dragon root and continued walking deeper. Mo Li helplessly followed Yi Qinghan. He always felt that he was an obedient child when he followed Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was the great demonic god, a great demonic god who could calculate every single detail and eat people whole without spitting out their bones. Yi Qinghan was incomparably cold. He walked on the snow without leaving a trace. He seemed to be walking slowly, but in fact he was walking very fast. After crossing more than 10 snowy mountains, there were still more snowy mountains in front of him. It was as if there was no end in sight. The air in the sky was too cold. Even the fire origin could not be used. It could freeze a giant god to death, so he could only walk slowly. Yi Qinghan was the kind of person who would walk a path to the end. Even if he hit a wall, he would break it and continue walking. Therefore, he did not change his direction and chose to go deeper. Mo Li could not refute and could only follow. Just like that, the two of them walked forward without saying a word. They did not know how long they had walked or how far they had walked. Yi Qinghan did not say a word, only leaving Mo Li with an unsurpassable back. He wanted Mo Li to gradually get used to being behind him. If it's the outer realm, how can we return? Mo Li asked. First, find the outer realm creatures and ask them, Yi Qinghan calmly said. What if the two realms are not connected, or they are filled with hostility and are unwilling to help us? Mo Li asked again. The outer realm and the primal chaos realm must be connected. That formless person can enter the primal chaos realm, and we can enter this world. How can there not be a passage? Yi Qinghan indifferently replied, As for if they are hostile, we will fight until they are not. Isn't this how the demon god mountain dealt with the inner realm people? Don't tell me they don't have the guts to deal with the outer realm people? Mo Li was left speechless by Yi Qinghan's domineering retort. He could not find any words to refute. That question was indeed somewhat idiotic. When Yi Qinghan saw that Mo Li was no longer speaking, he continued forward. The cold wind reverberated in the valley. The thousands of snowy mountains were endless, and the cold wind could not be blown out. It could only reverberate back and forth. It was incomparably gloomy, and the cold air was pressing. Yi Qinghan's eyes were mesmerizing. As he advanced, he observed the vast snowy mountains. Suddenly, a special snow ditch appeared in his line of sight. Although it was covered in snow, he could still tell that it wasn't formed randomly. It was a mark left behind by a creature. It was more than 10 zhang wide, and its length was unknown. Its depth was about 7 or 8 meters. It could be a large-scale flood dragon creature. However, in this cold place, normal flood dragons are not suitable for living. Could it be a giant dragon? Mo Li was experienced and knowledgeable, so he quickly identified the creature's original form. Yi Qinghan squatted on one side of the snow ditch and reached out to touch the snow. He found that it was not very hard, so the creature must have left not long ago. Boom, boom, boosh, boosh. All of a sudden, the snow mountain in front of them collapsed. It was a magnificent sight. It was as if the snow was going to cover the world and swallow everything. Roared out a long, frost-colored dragon coiled up like a mountain. Its long head was hanging on a mountain peak, overlooking Yi Qinghan and Mo Li. They were about 10 li apart, but the cold air was pressing down on them, freezing their hearts. Even Yi Qinghan felt that the cold air was going to freeze him. What the hell is this thing? A frost giant dragon? Yi Qinghan frowned and asked. Yes, we seem to be in trouble. This thing seems to have appeared in the primal chaos era. Its strongest move, Frost Breath, froze 4 primal chaos giant gods. Even the overgod's movements were frozen for 3 breaths of time. Mo Li was shocked as he said in a serious tone. Can it speak human language? Does it have intelligence? Can it communicate? Yi Qinghan's muscles tensed up. That kind of coldness that came from his bones made him nervous. It can communicate. It speaks primal chaos dragon language and disdains to speak god language, Mo Li said in a low voice. The frost giant dragon's eyes were even bigger than lanterns as it coldly looked at Yi Qinghan and Emoli. There was some doubt in its eyes, but there was also some killing intent. It breathed out white mist, freezing time and space. Yi Qinghan looked at the frost giant dragon's hostility and clenched his fists. He did not know if this frost giant dragon was hostile to other giant dragons. For the time being, he did not dare to take the risk. The frost giant dragon let out a low roar and coiled its body, revealing half of its body and covering the entire snowy mountain peak. One could only see the dragon head but not the tail. Emoli took a few steps back with an ugly expression. He looked at Yi Qinghan and said in a low voice, "Don't you have the dragon race's bloodline? Try to communicate with it. This thing is fighting on its home ground in this snowfield. Even if we work together, we might not be able to beat it." Roared at Yi Qinghan's body gradually turned into a dragon. He let out a long dragon roar and looked at the frost giant dragon in the sky. Yi Qinghan spoke in Draconic. "Frost dragon, I have no ill intentions. I just happened to land here by coincidence. I just want to leave as soon as possible. I hope that you can help me." The frost giant dragon was stunned. It realized that Yi Qinghan was really a giant dragon. No wonder the dragon race's aura was so pure. The frost giant dragon coiled around the snowy mountain peak and roared in dragon language, shattering the snowy mountain. "This is the snow country's divine world. You are not a creature of this world. Why did you descend here?" The frost giant dragon asked coldly. Yi Qinghan was shocked. He had indeed left the divine world. Yi Qinghan quickly replied, "I was being chased by enemies. By chance, I traveled through time and space to descend to the snow country's divine world. Please help me leave and return to the primal chaos realm." A creature of the primal chaos realm. That low-level realm actually hasn't been destroyed. The frost giant dragon murmured. It seemed to be very disdainful of the primal chaos realm. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. If the primal chaos realm was a low-level realm, then how strong were the other 8 realms? There are no entrances between realms. Unless by chance they are not connected. Unless your cultivation has reached the realm lord level, then you can open a passage. The frost giant dragon thought for a moment and replied coldly. "Realm lord?" Yi Qinghan naturally understood what level that was. At least the supreme god was not a realm lord. The desolation master was at the realm lord level. There was at least a big gap between the two. "May I ask if there is a realm lord in the snow country's divine world? Is this realm hostile to the outer realm?" Yi Qinghan asked in a serious tone. The snow country's divine world naturally has a realm lord. Other than the primal chaos realm, which is a small realm with a mental problem, the other realms all have their own realm lords. Of course, hundreds of eras ago, the Great Desolation Realm was destroyed and the realm lord was erased. No one wanted to enter the primal chaos realm. The frost giant dragon said coldly, "The enmity between the various realms is very strong. They don't allow people from the other realms to enter their own realm. Once they enter, they will definitely be killed and their corpses studied. Although the snow country's divine world's people don't have much enmity towards people from a small place like the primal chaos realm, it doesn't hinder their research spirit." The frost giant dragon kept talking about a small place like the primal chaos realm. It even attacked with extremely malicious words, which made Yi Qinghan and Emoli very unhappy. No matter how weak the primal chaos realm was, it was still their mother realm. However, there was nothing they could do. It seemed that the people from the other realms treated the primal chaos realm as natives. Chapter 1157. Yi Qinghan asked about the basics of the snow country's divine realm and found out that the snow country's divine realm was boundless. Even if the primal chaos realm was stuffed in, it would only be the size of this snowfield. It was on a completely different level. Compared to the other 8 realms, the primal chaos realm's resources could only be described as lacking. No wonder the primal chaos realm couldn't produce a realm lord. There was a limit to the resources and the great Tao. If the primal chaos realm produced a realm lord, then all living things in the primal chaos realm would die. The people of the snow country's divine realm all had the physique of the 5 elements. They could control metal, wood, water, fire, earth, ice, lightning, and other spiritual qualities. They could constantly cultivate their spiritual qualities and expand their spiritual space. They could control the 5 elements in their space. The strong ones could destroy the heavens and the earth. The weakest ones could control the environment of an area. However, in the divine world of Snow Country, the most respected were the ice and snow elemental spiritual bodies. This was because the most powerful divine lord of snow was a realm lord. With a wave of his hand, he could freeze the entire snowy plains. In front of him, the giant frost dragon was like a weak child. Even the cold air from the frost breath could not be compared to Chi. They were on completely different levels. The most suppressed ones were the fire spiritual bodies. They were completely suppressed by the ice, snow, and water elements. Now, the fire element had been suppressed to the point of extinction. Without a strong opponent, the ice and snow element experts were almost cut off. Instead, the snow god lord began to cultivate fire spiritual bodies to raise their status. Spirit void spaces were similar to godhood, but they were a different type of cultivation system. However, they were similar in level. The only difference was that the primal chaos world had an additional level of world lord. That was a title that could only be given birth to a single world lord. There were many supreme gods in the Snow Country's divine realm, but it wasn't to an exaggerated extent. Every supreme god had a high position and was the right hand of the realm lord. They were either the realm lord or the city lord of a big city. They were the pillars of the Snow Country's divine realm. Every one of them controlled a territory the size of the primal chaos realm. The only good news was that Yi Qinghan's calculation was correct. If they continued to move forward, they would be able to walk out of this snowfield in a few hundred years. When Yi Qinghan heard that they would have to walk for a few hundred years, he almost went berserk. A few hundred years later, we still have to find the way to the primal chaos realm. By then it would be too late. Emily said with a bitter smile. That, fellow clansmen, can you give us a ride? I'm willing to compensate you with resources. How about a drop of supreme divine power? Yi Qinghan looked at the frost WRM expectantly. Only it could fly in the air without being frozen. If they wanted to get out of the snowfield quickly, they could only rely on it. I need an utmost god power of the ice element. If you have it, I can bring you out. But he can't. He's a human. How can the mighty dragon race allow a puny ant to trample on them? The colossal frost dragon replied in disdain. Mo Li's position in the chaos realm was extremely revered, but here, he had become a weak ant, a lowly commoner. He even looked down on the frost dragon. At this moment, he could only twitch his face, but he had no words to refute. Yi Qinghan was in a difficult position. Putting aside the fact that he did not have an utmost god power of the ice element, he had to bring Mo Li back this time. Otherwise, it would cause a huge disaster. If the demonic god mountain were to erupt, it would probably destroy the chaos realm. However, the frost WM had no room for negotiation. In short, it would not allow a human to trample on its body. Its bloodline would not allow it to give in. I don't have an utmost god power of the ice element. How about I use 3 supreme divine herbs to make up for it? I'll use my divine power to drag him down and exile him under your body. He won't be able to get close to your body. Is that okay? Yi Qinghan negotiated. It's just a human. Just give him up. The Frost WM did not care about Mo Li's life. If Yi Qinghan did not have the colossal dragon bloodline, even he would have been killed. This human is of great use to my Chaos Dragon clan. He cannot die for now. Fellow clansmen, please make an exception. When I return to my clan, I will definitely repay you. Yi Qinghan said seriously. The Frost WM looked at Yi Qinghan in astonishment and asked, "You are a Chaos Dragon? Although your bloodline is very pure, it is very ordinary. It is impossible for you to be a royal Chaos Dragon." Yi Qinghan shrugged helplessly and continued to explain. Currently, the Chaos Realms Dragon clan is on the verge of destruction. Everyone is protecting each other to survive. My beloved wife is a Chaos Dragon, the current leader of the Dragon clan. As long as fellow clansman is willing to help me this once, I will definitely repay you in the future. This time, The Frost WRM nodded. It was very difficult for the dragon clan to conceive. However, there were many hybrid dragons. Although the dragon clan's individual combat strength was strong, there were not many of them. They were bullied by the humans, so the dragon clan was unusually united. Alright, I will send you guys on your way. The Frost WRM twisted its body and transformed into its human form. It was about 2 to 3 meters tall and had an icy aura that could freeze one's heart. Before it even got close to Yi Qinghan, it had already made them tremble. You guys can use your divine power to defend against the cold aura around me. I will defend against the icy aura in the sky. After saying that, the frost dragon grabbed the two of them and took to the sky. Even the air in the sky was frozen. It was not suitable for ordinary creatures to survive. Many creatures were frozen in the air. They had been dead for many years and had turned into fossils. Looking at the crystal-clear ice, Mo Li's body stiffened. If the frost WRM threw the two of them into the sky, it would not take long for them to be frozen. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the frost WRM grabbed the two of them like an eagle catching chicks and soared into the sky. After traveling for 2 months, the frost WRM was not tired at all. Instead, it was moving faster and faster. However, the temperature was also getting higher and higher. It was not like the cold in the depths of the snowfield that could freeze people to death. Thin air appeared above, and one could even see a city towering into the clouds in the distance. The majestic spiritual chi was as lively as fairies, and it could communicate with and cooperate with the strong. No wonder the creatures here treated the Chaos Realm as natives and looked down on them. They were not even interested in invading the Chaos Realm. Boom! The Frost WRM swooped down and brought the two of them to the outskirts of the snowfield. If they went out, they would be in the human territory. The Frost WRM was not willing to go out. Yi Qinghan hurriedly gave out a few supreme sacred herbs and quickly distanced himself from the Frost WRM. His body was trembling, and even his teeth were chattering. It was too cold. Mo Li's face was blue from the cold. He had probably never seen such a low temperature in his life. At this moment, his body was stiff and his eyes were blank. He kept wiping his body, hoping to get warmer. Thank you for sending us off. Yi Qinghan cupped his fist and said gratefully, You're welcome. You're welcome. Humans are very dangerous. Take care of yourselves. Moreover, even if you enter the Snow Empire, you may not be able to find your way back. The Realm Master is not interested in the Chaos Realm at all, and others can't open the passage to the Chaos Realm. The Frost Dragon reminded. Then, it seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly said, I heard that there is an entrance to the Chaos Realm in the Great Wasteland Domain, but the Great Wasteland Domain is so big, and now it's a wasteland. It's not suitable for experts from other domains to cultivate. After speaking, the Frost WRM turned around and rushed back into the snowfield. Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand to stop the Frost WRM and ask about the Great Wasteland Domain, but it was already far away. Recommended by all channels, today's outbreak. I hope everyone can subscribe to the Genesis Chinese Network or QQ reading platform with book coins. Daodu will be eternally grateful. Chapter 1158. Both of them shivered as they left the snowfield's periphery. Although the temperature outside was very low, it was still a few hundred degrees colder than the temperature inside the snowfield. What the fuck? Why is it so cold here? It can actually freeze souls. Mo Li cursed angrily. He had suffered a lot along the way. The Frost Dragon did not treat him as a human at all and threw him around as it pleased. His dignity was completely trampled on, and he did not even dare to say anything. It'll be fine once you get used to it. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Let's not use the secret techniques of the Chaos Realm in the future. We need to control the ice spirituality. The spirituality here is very active and easy to communicate with. It's not difficult for you and me. Just don't let them find out that we're outsiders. Yi Qinghan was expressionless as he shook his body and walked toward the human territory. Mo Li sighed and shook his head helplessly. He could only follow Yi Qinghan, and the great demon god had become a lackey. Yi Qinghan walked while sensing the ice spirituality. The active spirituality was like an elf that could communicate with humans. The stronger the soul, the easier it was to communicate. Some spiritualities liked violent and domineering souls, some liked gentle souls, and some liked cruel souls. There were also some that liked humans who did not fight for anything. Yi Qinghan's soul covered 100 miles. He reached out and gathered the spiritualities. Countless spiritualities formed a long dragon that rushed into Yi Qinghan's consciousness and formed a world of its own, forming a huge spirituality space. Mo Li was also communicating with the spirituality, but he was communicating with the dark spirituality. Demonic chi surged around him, and the spirituality space was instantly formed. The space was huge and was not inferior to the powerful giant god's spirituality space. The two of them wasted a day and completely mastered the usage of the spirituality. They also created some low-level secret techniques to be used together with the spirituality. Although they were not powerful, they could still deal with half-step lord-level powerhouses. Whoosh, 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 the two of them rose into the air and flew 100 miles, entering the human territory. There were native villages everywhere, and their living habits were no different from those in the Chaos Realm. The only difference was that they were more powerful. Yi Qinghan saw a relatively large tribe a few thousand meters ahead. It was made up of more than 10 villages, but to the southwest was a large forest. Powerful 5 elements ferocious beasts would occasionally rush out of the villages and attack the villagers. Even the children could control their spiritual essence to resist. Outside the village, there was a huge stockade surrounded by huge trees. There was also a large training field around it. Many children were practicing martial arts under the guidance of the adults and sensing the spiritual essence. Although the temperature was low, these creatures and plants had already gotten used to this type of temperature. They were extremely lush, their green leaves covering time and space. It was quite a beautiful scene. Let's go into the village and have a look. Yi Qinghan was just about to take a step forward when the ground suddenly trembled. The ferocious beasts roared, and the dust on the icy rocks on the ground became restless. Boom, boom, roar, roar, roar. A large number of speed-type beasts had a few cavalrymen sitting on them. With a single step, they could travel more than a kilometer. In the inner world, where flying was impossible, this kind of speed was already considered very fast. It's the Black Tiger Mountains Tiger Cavalry. Quickly retreat to the stronghold. Quick! The adults on the training field roared. They all took the children and fled madly into the stronghold. Immediately after, a large group of Black Tiger Guards rode their black tigers and charged into the tribal stronghold. It was very cruel. The Black Tigers were dragging behind them a large man in ragged clothes and a young female cultivator who was as beautiful as a flower. They swept up waves of dust on the ground. The female cultivators wailed and the large man roared. Clearly, the outcome was very clear. The men were slaves, and the fate of the female cultivators was even worse. It was hard to imagine that such a barbaric and cruel thing would happen in such a cultivator civilization. It was chaos outside the stronghold. Countless villagers began to flee madly with their children. They directly charged into the village and set up huge crossbows as a defense. The stronghold gate was raised at any time, but there were just too many people outside. Yi Qinghan and Mo Li were also slowly approaching along a hillside. The group of Black Tiger Guards should not be an army but bandits. They charged without restraint, wanting to rush into the village before the stronghold gate was closed. They wanted to plunder resources and seize slaves and female slaves. This place was similar to the South Horizon region in the past. However, the people here were very powerful. A single tribe actually had several Holy Lord-level people. The children were half-step Lord-level, and they controlled various types of spirituality. The Black Tiger Guards were only a few thousand meters away from the stronghold gate, but there was still a large group of villagers outside. 500 meters, 400 meters, 300 meters, close the stronghold gate. My children are still outside. It was chaos outside the stronghold gate. There were at least a few dozen children outside. Close it. Immediately, right now. Creak, the huge gate of the wooden raft, made of an unknown material, was slowly raised. A stronger child swept up more than 10 children around him and rushed into the stronghold at the last moment. Whoosh, Another group of children rushed in, but there were still 7 or 8 children who looked like they were 7 or 8 years old outside. This was because the huge gate of the wooden raft had been closed, and the Great Village Protection Formation had been activated. A large number of hunters raised their huge bows and aimed outside. Little Mo, quickly bring your brothers and sisters under the gate. Stand close to the wall. Zwafong, quickly come to the gate. I'll protect you with my huge bow. The people in the stronghold shouted at the 7 or 8 children below. They had no choice but to close the gate of the stronghold because the Black Tiger Guards had already appeared within 100 meters. They could charge into the stronghold with a single dive. There were about 1,000 Black Tiger Guards, and all of them were Great Khan. Their cultivation levels were high, and there was no lack of giant God Realm experts. Moreover, they were all elite kings. If 3 or 5 of them charged in, there was no way they could close the gate. The 10 strongest experts of the Black Tiger Guards were actually all at the Saint Lord realm. They stood at the very front and looked down at the gate of the stronghold. They saw the children glaring at them angrily and couldn't stop laughing coldly. Open the gate, or else I'll torture them to death. I'll let you watch these pitiful children die tragically under the butcher's knife. A Black Tiger Guard stood on the head of a black tiger and laughed loudly. It was obvious that the village had already given up on the children. Otherwise, they wouldn't have closed the gate. One of the older children was about 10 years old. His large eyes were shining like a pair of black gems. At this moment, he was protecting the 3 little girls and 4 little boys behind him. He was Zhuxiaoma. If you want to kill me, then kill me. I'm a real man. If I frown, then I'll be your child. Zhuxiaoma stood under the wooden gate without panicking in the face of danger. His resolute gaze was rather manly. These words caused even Yi Qinghan to feel deep veneration. He felt that this child would definitely become a great person in the future. This child is not bad. He's quite bold, Emoli said indifferently. Yi Qinghan nodded in agreement. With a wave of his hand, he took out a dagger and prepared to save him at the most critical moment. At this moment, the leader of the Black Tiger Guards took out a longbow. The black iron arrow could steal one's soul. He drew the bowstring and the corners of his mouth rose as he said cruelly, "Is that so? I'll fulfill your wish." Bang. Sir, please spare my life. This little boy is young and ignorant. He speaks without thinking. Please spare me on account of my young age. Immediately after, the scene changed. Zhuxiaoma was kneeling on the ground with both hands prostrating and begging for mercy. Yi Qinghan's efforts were wasted. He almost vomited blood and the dagger in his hand fell to the ground. Looking at Zhuxiaoma's despicable appearance, why did it feel like a divine bird? Emoli was stunned. Looking at Zhuxiaoma's despicable appearance, he really wanted to slap himself to repent for giving such a high evaluation. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The Black Tiger Guards suddenly burst into laughter. The Black Tiger Guards were in a mess. Many people fell from the back of the Black Tigers. The leader didn't even know if he should shoot or put down the bow in his hand. Recommended through all channels. Today's outbreak. I hope everyone can subscribe to Genesis Chinese Network or QQ Reading with Book Coins. Daodu will be eternally grateful. Chapter 1159. For a moment, there was a burst of laughter outside the stronghold. However, Zhuxiaoma's actions were indeed hilarious. One second, he was making a solemn vow, and the next second, he was kneeling and begging for mercy. Oh, this is not my son. This is definitely not my son. A burly man covered his face and roared. He was so angry that he wanted to rush down and teach his son a lesson. The boys and girls behind Zhuxiaoma looked at each other. They did not know if they should kneel and beg for mercy or die rather than submit. Great hero, please spare my life. I am a rare genius with a fire attribute. I am very useful. Why don't you take me in as your little brother and raise me for a few hundred years? I will definitely be the strongest vanguard. Zhuxiaoma crawled up and grinned. Cough cough, Yi Qinghan was speechless. This guy was simply a replica of a divine bird. This little bastard, I actually misjudged you. Emoli stood up from the bottom of the hill and said impolitely while looking down from above. The Black Tiger Guard bandits all looked over with hostility. A group of 100 men surrounded the hill. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to stand out and shake his head. The two's auras were determined, and their heroic spirit made them seem otherworldly. The villagers and Black Tiger Guards were stunned as they looked at Yi Qinghan and Mo Li. These two slaves are not bad. As long as they are trained, they can be compared to hundreds of slaves. The leader of the Black Tiger Guards was not valiant. Instead, he looked like a scholar. He wore a green robe and his eyes were filled with wisdom and calmness. He was definitely at the level of a military advisor. He could tell that Yi Qinghan and Mo Li were not ordinary with just a glance. However, he should never have placed his attention on the great demonic god and Yi Qinghan, who was even more powerful than the great demonic god. Whoosh! A large group of experts surrounded the hill and blocked Yi Qinghan and Mo Li's path. Hey, don't do it. I am a very civilized person who loves peace. I don't like fighting. Yi Qinghan quickly waved his hand. The corner of Mo Li's mouth twitched as he secretly sneered. If you were civilized, loved peace, and didn't like fighting, then the world would be peaceful. It's good that you like peace. Coincidentally, I don't like to fight either. I like obedient slaves. Bind your own hands and seal your spiritual space. I'll let you suffer less physical pain, the Black Tiger Guard said indifferently. Yi Qinghan shrugged and looked at Mo Li beside him. He raised his eyebrows and said, "My friend doesn't like peace and is very violent. Are you sure you want to make things difficult for us?" Mo Li groaned. He knew that Yi Qinghan would push him out. "I'm not afraid of trouble. Since he likes to fight, I'll find a few people to play with him." The great leader was disdainful. He waved his hand and said to the two people beside him, "Old 4, Old 5, go and clean up." "All right, boss." Old 4th and Old 5th were very sturdy. They were almost 2 meters tall and weighed at least 200 kilograms. They looked like giants. The Black Tiger beneath them was even bigger, like a small hill. Boom, boom, boom. The two Black Tigers brought Old 4 and Old 5 and rushed towards the hill. There were also many small soldiers following them. Mo Li's mood had been very bad these days. He was just about to vent when this group of people came to him. Without any hesitation, he rushed over with his spear. The killing intent of the demonic god's spear soared into the sky as it pierced through several bodies. He then lifted the bodies up and swept them across, leaving behind afterimages in the sky. The bodies were blasted apart by the energy. Mo Li rushed into the crowd and swept through everything in his way. Even the huge Black Tigers were brutally killed by him. Yi Qinghan directly sat on the top of the hill. He broke off a blade of grass and put it in his mouth. He hugged his head with both hands and leaned against a rock, admiring Mo Li's massacre in front of him. "Didn't I say that my friend is very violent? It's best not to provoke him." "You guys just wouldn't listen," Yi Qinghan said calmly with a blade of grass in his mouth. The 10 leaders of the Black Tiger Guard were enraged. Old 4 and Old 5 were, after all, second only to the Saint Lord. They charged towards Mo Li, the huge hammers in their hands smashing through the void. Bang! Mo Li's spear pierced through the huge hammers. Old 4's body flew backward while the trajectory of the demonic god spear in Mo Li's hand deviated and collided with the hammer in Old 5's hand. Boom! Mo Li jumped into the air and launched a series of kicks. His long legs exploded with an even more violent power and kicked Old 5 into the ground, shattering the ice and rocks. "Die!" Boom! Mo Li's body rose up and his spear came down like an iron rod towards Old 4. Old 4 had just stabilized himself and did not have time to dodge. He could only raise his huge hammer and smash it above his head, hoping to block the demonic god's spear. Bang! The demonic god's spear directly pressed down on Old 4's huge hammer, breaking his arm and smashing into his head. With a crisp sound, Old 4's head was smashed by the huge hammer, causing his brain to splatter everywhere. He knelt down and died on the spot. Mo Li unleashed his demonic god spear art to the extreme and rushed into the crowd. Immediately, the crowd fell into chaos. Nearly 100 people died in just a short incense stick's worth of time. Even the Black Tigers did not manage to escape and their corpses all fell into a pool of blood. Mo Li killed the last Black Tiger Guard. His sharp and cold aura was like a demonic god looking down on them. His spear shattered the ice and rocks, and a deep gully appeared in front of the stronghold. It was as if the heavens were warning the remaining Black Tiger Guards and the Great Leader that behind this gully was their forbidden land. The Great Leader's eyes shone with a cold light as he grabbed at the void. His crescent moon blade appeared in his hand, releasing a chilling aura that froze the surrounding air. Old Second, Old Third, you guys go. The Great Leader held the crescent moon blade and ordered the two beside him to kill Emoli while he stared at Yi Qinghan. Old Second and Old Third were already at the Saint Master level and were not any weaker than the Saint Masters of the Chaos Realm's sacred grounds. The black tigers they were riding were also at the giant god level. They shattered the ice and attacked Emoli together. Yi Qinghan chewed on the wild grass as he stared at the Great Leader. He slowly stood up and crossed his arms in front of his chest as he watched quietly. He was not in a hurry to make a move. The commoners in the stronghold were stunned. They did not expect that these two youngsters would dare to fight against the Black Tiger Guards. Run with me. Zhuo Xiaomo was a smart person. When she saw that there was a chance, she led the few kids behind her and ran towards the small hill behind Yi Qinghan. Sha, Zhuo Xiaomo, Zhuo Feng, and the other kids ran to the rock behind Yi Qinghan and looked at Yi Qinghan with their young eyes. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and looked at the 8 kids who were only 6 or 7 years old on average. The corner of his mouth twitched. He then looked at the smart Zhuo Xiaomo and snorted. Uncle, you are more powerful than that person, right? Protect us. I have a rare fire spiritual space. I can be your lackey in the future. Zhuo Xiaomo pointed at Emoli and said flatteringly. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up slightly as he said disdainfully, I already have the divine bird. I don't need you. It's all right. The bird is a bird. I am a genuine human. I am the best at loyalty. Zhuo Xiaomo said solemnly. Yi Qinghan curled his lips. If this guy was loyal, then the divine bird could be trusted. Not interested. Yi Qinghan flatly rejected. Zhuo Xiaomo's eyes were a little disappointed. However, she clenched her fists and said, Then you protect my brothers and sisters. I will protect you. I am a hero who is not afraid of evil. Boom. Zhuo Xiaomo's aura exploded. She looked quite manly as a metal rod appeared in her hand. She held it with both hands and it actually lengthened automatically. With a gentle pull, it turned into 2 curved blades again. I will block these Black Tiger Guards. You take them and run. I will cover you. Zhuo Xiaomo turned her head to look at Yi Qinghan and said firmly. Yi Qinghan sneered in his heart. However, he did not show any emotion on his face. He softly said, Oh. Then he pulled the kids and was about to leave. Plop, Zhuo Xiaomo went limp on the spot. She turned around and knelt in front of Yi Qinghan and begged, Hero, I can tell that you are an unparalleled hero and a super expert. Please don't tease me. I am just a weak child. How can I be a match for the Black Tiger Guards? Chapter 1160. Zhuo Xiaomo's face was filled with despair as she knelt in front of Yi Qinghan and hugged Yi Qinghan. Hero, save me. I don't want to die at such a young age. Zhuo Xiaomo wailed, but there were no tears. Yi Qinghan smirked as he looked down at Zhuo Xiaomo who was hugging his thigh. I'm not familiar with you, so I'm not interested in teasing you. My name is Zhuo Xiaomo, Zhuo Yunzhai's fire element genius. People call me Zhuo Xiaomo, the one who searches the clouds to catch the sun and the moon, the one who goes down to the sea to catch dragons and kunping. Let's get to know each other. Zhuo Xiaomo said seriously as she hugged Yi Qinghan's thigh and stared at him with her big watery eyes. Yi Qinghan covered his head with his hands. He suddenly felt that she was a divine bird in human form. She was so despicable. I'm a demon who kills without spilling blood. I'm crueler than the Black Tiger Guards. Are you sure you want to get to know me? Yi Qinghan asked coldly as he looked up at the sky. Hero, you look like a good person. You're chivalrous, loyal, and courageous. You're definitely a hero. I don't believe you're a demon. Zhuo Xiaomo stared at Yi Qinghan with her bright eyes. There was a hint of fear in her eyes, but she quickly covered it up. She then signaled the children with her eyes. Hero, please help us. We'll repay you when we grow up. After being reminded by Zhuo Xiaoma, the little ones tugged at the corners of Yi Qinghan's golden robe and looked at him expectantly. Their innocent eyes seemed to be able to speak. "Hero, please do us a favor. We're so cute. How cruel would it be if we were killed? Hero, do you need a sword, boy? Do you think I can do it?" The 7 little fellows chattered incessantly. None of them were serious dolls. One is marked by the company one keeps. They had all been contaminated by Zhuo Xiaoma. Yi Qinghan bent down and pried Zhuo Xiaoma's arm away, then dodged to the side. Seeing the Black Tiger Guard's big boss staring at him, he couldn't help but put on a fake smile and look at him coldly. On the other side, Mo Li displayed the might of the great demonic god, forcing the 2 sacred master rank leaders to retreat. These Black Tiger Guards' battle prowess was indeed at the sacred master rank. However, their secret techniques were also at the sacred master rank. They were completely different from the sacred masters of the primal chaos world. For example, Wu Ye's secret technique was the supreme sacred scripture, and his realm was at the sacred master rank. However, his battle prowess was far above the sacred master rank. This was also the reason why Mo Li could kill so many people. Boom! Mo Li's spear pierced through the defense of the 2nd leader of the Black Tiger Guards and pierced his chest. Demonic godly power poured out, shattering his body and destroying his spiritual space. A Saint Lord was crippled even if he didn't die. The Black Tiger Guard's great commander was infuriated, and he shouted at his subordinates, "Kill them! Kill any one of them, and you can replace the 2nd commander, 4th commander, and 5th commander's positions. You can obtain a Holy Lord-level secret technique." As soon as the great commander finished speaking, he took the lead and attacked Yi Qinghan with his mystic moon scimitar. That the space shattered as the great commander moved as fast as lightning. His green robes were cold, and his aura was ferocious. "Sigh, why do you have to force a civilized person like me to make a move?" Yi Qinghan sighed softly. With a twist of his feet, the slope collapsed, and he violently jumped into the air. He swept up half of the heaven's might and fiercely attacked the great commander. Boom! The mystic moon scimitar was indeed sharp, and the great commander was indeed powerful. With his godly power pouring out, if he used a secret technique of the same level, he would definitely be able to kill the sacred masters of the primal chaos world in an instant. However, he should not have fought Yi Qinghan head-on. He thought that he could break Yi Qinghan's control with one slash. When they collided, the mystic moon scimitar's trembling speed exceeded its limit and directly shattered the great commander's hand. Bang! The great commander seemed to have suffered a heavy blow, and his body was blasted backward like a cannonball. Yi Qinghan was incomparably powerful, and he raised his leg to stomp on the great commander. Boom boom boom. The sky kept collapsing, and the icy blade aura attached to the great commander was almost frozen to pieces. Yi Qinghan withdrew the great commander and stepped on the great commander's chest, stomping him to the ground. Bang bang bang. Yi Qinghan grabbed the great commander's throat, and his iron fists rained down like raindrops, causing the great commander to be stunned on the spot. Boom! That buzzed. Yi Qinghan elbowed the great commander's temple, and the great commander's head buzzed. His soul immediately fell into a state of darkness. "I am usually a very civilized person. If you force me to make a move, you will have to pay the price." Yi Qinghan pulled his body back, and his iron fists rushed out from behind, landing right on the great commander's chest. The great commander's body armor immediately shattered, and his internal organs were shattered. All the blood cells in his body exploded, and his back bulged out. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Hua! The great commander's body went limp, and he did not even have the chance to use his advantage before dying under Yi Qinghan's fists. Swish! Yi Qinghan rushed into the Black Tiger Guards, and with each punch, the Black Tiger Guards were sent flying. Once the Black Tiger Guards were caught by Yi Qinghan, they would definitely die on the spot. There were less than 1,000 Black Tiger Guards, and more than 100 of them had already been killed by Mo Li. Now, the 2 of them worked together and rampaged through the crowd, killing anyone they saw. Zhuo Yunzhai, Zhuo Xiaoma, and the other kids were dumbfounded. He is indeed a demon. He is even more brutal than the Black Tiger Guards. Oh my god. Swish! Zhuo Xiaoma muttered, pulled the little girl beside her and shouted, "Quick, run with me." Swish, swish, swish that the 8 kids ran back to Zhuoyunzhai's giant gate, following the original path. After killing for an entire hour, there were less than 200 black tiger guards left. Even the black tiger guards had been killed. The black tiger guards' legs went limp, and when they saw the drop of bones, they wanted to vomit. "Demon!" someone shouted, and the remaining black tiger guards turned and ran, not even daring to look back. "If you don't remove the roots, there will be trouble in the future. Don't leave a single one alive." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly, and his body shot out like a divine arrow, punching one black tiger guard after another. His fists were imbued with ice spiritual substance and a large amount of desolate divine power. When it entered their bodies, it would definitely crush their souls and vitality. "Puchi-da-da! Demon!" The black tiger guards screamed and fled, not even bothering with the slaves. Unfortunately, their speed was not as fast as Yi Qinghan and Mo Li's, and the difference was huge. More than half of the 200 black tiger guards were quickly eliminated. "Boo! Hero, please spare us. Lord, please spare us. We have elders and children to take care of. Please spare us this time. I was blind to not recognize Tan Mountain. Please spare us, Lord. I won't dare to do it again." There were still a few dozen black tiger guards left. Their cultivation levels were decent, and most of them were at the Lord God level. At this moment, they were extremely terrified, and they did not even dare to raise their heads. They kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Yi Qinghan and Mo Li looked at each other. They seemed to know what the other was thinking, so they did not attack again. "Get up. Follow us in the future, and I guarantee that you will live a good life," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Chapter 1161. The group of slaves and female slaves had all been snatched from the stronghold outside. At this moment, they were watching in horror as Yi Qinghan and Mo Li tried to subdue the black tiger guards who had committed all sorts of crimes. Their bodies were trembling. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and broke the iron chains that bound the villagers. With a deep voice, he said, "You can all leave now. Thank you for saving our lives. Thank you, lords. This little girl is extremely grateful and has no way to repay you." The dozens of villagers were extremely respectful as they were afraid of offending Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and said, "You can all leave now. It's nothing." Only then did everyone leave. Zhuoyun's stronghold did not dare to open the gate for a long time. A few children's faces were green with fright, especially the girls. They had never seen such a bloody scene before. If it wasn't for Zhuoxiaoma protecting them, they would have fainted from fright. "Great hero, you're so powerful," Zhuoxiaoma said flatteringly. "Little brat, don't be so despicable. Otherwise I'll break your legs," Mo Li said angrily. Zhuoxiaoma was so frightened that she did not dare to speak. She peeked at Yi Qinghan and Mo Li with her pitiful eyes. "Forget it. Let's go. We'll go directly to the Black Tiger Guard's headquarters and occupy a place to discuss further." Perhaps it was because of the divine bird, Yi Qinghan did not dislike Zhuoxiaoma. Instead, he felt an inexplicable sense of closeness. "Great hero, do you want to go in and have a cup of tea?" Zhuoxiaoma smiled. "Sure, ask your parents to open the gate." Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows as if he was teasing the little brat. Zhuoxiaoma's face instantly turned bitter. Zhuoyun's stronghold had not opened the gate until now. It was obvious that they did not trust Yi Qinghan and Mo Li, who had appeared out of nowhere. The Black Tiger Guards were no match for Yi Qinghan and Mo Li, who had slaughtered more than 1,000 people in just a little more than 2 hours. If they were to charge into Zhuoyun's stronghold, they would probably be wiped out in less than 2 hours. "Maybe next time. We've all been busy lately. Next time, I'll treat you alone. Goodbye, hero." Zhuoxiaoma waved her hand, her young face blushing slightly. She did not expect Yi Qinghan to agree to stay for tea. Yi Qinghan sneered. He stood on a black tiger and looked down at the remaining Black Tiger Guards. He coldly said, "Clean up the battlefield and take away all the resources. Then, bring us to the Black Tiger Stockade." "Yes." The Black Tiger Guard hurriedly nodded and replied. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and said, "From now on, Call me great leader and him second leader." Yi Qinghan quickly adapted to this place and became the king of the mountain. Mo Li curled his lips and thought to himself, "This Yi Qinghan is too powerful. He silently suppressed me and did not give me a chance to refute. The dignified descendant of the great demonic god has become the second leader in just one world." Soon after, the Black Tiger Guards cleaned up the battlefield and took all the yin and yang rings. They packed them up and sent them to Yi Qinghan. "Yes, great leader, second leader. Please follow us." The captain of the Black Tiger Guards did not understand Yi Qinghan and Mo Li. He did not even dare to use a flattering tone and was extremely respectful. Boom, boom, boom. 50 to 60 people rode on a dozen huge black tigers and rushed into the distance. Yi Qinghan and Mo Li followed closely behind, slowly following behind the Black Tiger Guards. Along the way, they encountered several tribes with their gates locked. One of them had been completely destroyed. Flames soared into the sky and blood flowed like a river. The group of slaves and women from before were still crying in the village. Clearly, they were from this village. Yi Qinghan looked at the village and the group of strong young men. Their cultivation was not bad and they were at least high gods. However, in this world, they were nothing. They did not even dare to fly more than 10 meters. Now that the village was in ruins and the tribesmen were all dead, this group of people would not be able to survive for long. Yi Qinghan arrived in front of the crowd. In any case, there were more than 20 lives. The new power said, 99% of the Black Tiger Guards are dead. The remaining people's cultivation is not that great. They have died once and can be considered as avenging you. If you don't mind, you can join the Black Tiger Stronghold and change your name to Frost Demon Stronghold. The group of villagers glared at the remaining Black Tiger Guards. If it were not for their lack of strength, they would have definitely rushed up and annihilated them. "I want to kill them and avenge my parents." A young girl pulled out a sharp sword and charged towards the Black Tiger Guards. The Black Tiger Guards looked at Yi Qinghan and did not dare to dodge. They could only let her hack and slash. Although her strength was not great, the sword's slashes were sharp enough to injure these people. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere and their heads were bleeding. Yi Qinghan looked on calmly and allowed her to hack and slash. Seeing that the other villagers were also angry, he said, "Revenge is revenge. They have already died once. They don't care if you kill them again." The Black Tiger Guards immediately panicked and looked nervously at Yi Qinghan. "Atone for your sins. If they kill you today, you are not allowed to dodge or resist. If you dare to resist, I will be the one to kill you," Yi Qinghan said coldly. The Black Tiger Guards did not dare to resist. They could only release some spiritual essence to protect their lifelines. They hoped that this group of young people would be exhausted and escape death. "Kill them and avenge the villagers." Boom, boom, swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More than 20 villagers rushed into the village and pulled out their sharp swords. They all charged towards the Black Tiger Guards and wildly hacked at them. A few of the Black Tigers were killed, but the Black Tiger Guards did not dare to resist. Yi Qinghan and Mo Li coldly watched from the side. If they died after this, their hatred would disappear. If they did not die, it would also disappear. If he wanted to establish himself here, he would need the help of some locals. However, these locals could not have any hatred, or else they would be like a sheet of loose sand. Soon, a large number of Black Tiger Guards were hacked to death. A few of them wanted to retaliate, but their souls were pierced by Yi Qinghan's finger and died on the spot. After hacking for more than 2 hours, more than 30 Black Tiger Guards had been hacked to death. However, only 20 or so of them remained. However, the villagers were so tired that they were gasping for breath and could no longer hack. The remaining group of Black Tiger Guards with decent cultivations could not help but let out a breath of turbid air. They knew that they had dodged a calamity. Yi Qinghan looked at the villagers who were paralyzed on the ground and calmly said, "Since you've finished hacking, the hatred between you should also disappear." More than 1,000 Black Tiger Guards have died, and now there are less than 30 people left. Any hatred should also disappear. Can you all stop hating each other? His gaze contained a firm will. As long as this group of villagers still dared to refuse to let go, he would not help them anymore. He did not want to destroy the foundation of his first force in the Snow Empire and the God Realm because of personal hatred. The villagers looked at Yi Qinghan's cold gaze and did not dare to push their luck. After hacking so many people to death and being so tired, it was time to let go of the hatred in their hearts. Yi Qinghan looked at the Black Tiger Guards and coldly asked, "Do you all hate each other?" "We don't dare." "Absolutely not. We were wrong in the past. However, our team didn't massacre this village. It was all done by other teams. Big leader, I swear to the heavens, I swear to the Divine Master that we really didn't massacre the villagers here," the Black Tiger Guard captain quickly said. Chapter 1162. The Divine Master, who was also the Realm Master of the Snow Nation, swore in his name. It was a supreme oath, even more terrifying than an oath to the heavenly Tao. No one dared to make such an oath. The villagers seemed to understand as well, but their hatred was transferred to them. Looking at the Black Tiger Guards, their hostility gradually dissipated. "If you have any grievances in the future, feel free to tell me. If you did it, then you did it. If you didn't, then I won't let you suffer. This matter ends here. Now, go to the Black Tiger Stockade and take over everything," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Finally, the hatred between the two sides was settled. The initial Winter Demon Stockade was formed, and the number of people returned to 50 or 60. The group quickly rushed to the outskirts of the Black Tiger Stockade. There were mountains and valleys, and the spiritual energy was oppressive. All kinds of spiritual attributes jumped around like fairies, merging with each other, but also opposing each other. Spiritual beasts galloped, and birds cried, echoing in the valley. The huge Black Tiger Stockade still had quite a few people left behind to guard it. When Yi Qinghan and Li Qia led the Black Tiger Guards into the mountains, they were intercepted. Many of the experts in the stockade were slaughtered, and even the banners were changed. "Great leader, the Black Tiger Stockade has many mines, and they are all being excavated. They also have many industries in the city amongst the clouds. We only know the address, but we don't know how to take over," the Black Tiger Guard captain respectfully reminded. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. The procedures were complicated. Why did they have to take over bit by bit? They could just snatch it. As for the mines, they had to be handed over to their own people to control. Release all the slaves and arrange their salaries for the past few years. If they want to stay in the mines, pay them on the same day. Try to keep them. Also, improve their meals to twice that of normal villagers. Every 10 days of rest, build houses for them, and treat them like humans, not slaves. Yi Qinghan gave orders one by one, and finally decided, kill all the absentee guards. Kill them in front of everyone. Let the slaves abandon their hatred and give them hope. Change your clothes. From today onwards, the Black Tiger Stockade no longer exists. It will be called the Winter Demon Stockade. You are the initial members of the Winter Demon Stockade. Do it well and you will benefit in the future. Great leader, we can't beat those guards, the captain said helplessly. Find your second leader. He's the best at killing people, Yi Qinghan said calmly. In the distance, the corner of Mo Li's mouth twitched. Ever since he arrived in this realm, he had been suppressed by Yi Qinghan. But now, he had become Yi Qinghan's subordinate and was specifically helping him kill people. However, they had just entered this place and did not know anything. If they wanted to return, they would probably have to rely on Yi Qinghan. They could only follow the team leader to the various mines. With Mo Li taking action, he killed his way to the end. Blood flowed like a river, frightening the slaves. Finally, it was announced that the Black Tiger stronghold had been destroyed. The Winter Demon stronghold wanted to free the slaves and compensate them for their wages over the past few years. They also wanted to pay the slaves to continue digging, help them build houses, and provide them with protection. They also wanted to take shifts every 10 days. Their living expenses were double that of ordinary villagers. How could these slaves leave? They were all in high spirits and chose to stay. Yi Qinghan sat in the study of the former great leader of the Black Tiger stronghold, looking for the certificates of some properties. However, he found the certificates of all the properties in a mezzanine. Upon closer inspection, there were actually quite a lot of properties. Compared to the sacred grounds, they were only lacking the sacred scripture and foundation. The other resources were far more abundant than one or two sacred grounds. Just the rare minerals alone, such as iron ores, mysterious crystal divine iron, and a series of supreme divine herb gardens, were innumerable. It was no wonder there were so many experts here. Spiritual god stones could increase one's ability to sense spiritual essence by 10 times or even 100 times. This was determined by the quality of the spiritual god stone. This kind of spiritual god stone was the common currency of the Snow Empire and the Immortal Realm. It was divided into 5 grades, and the exchange rate for each grade was 1 to 100. Earth, Heaven, Mysterious, Moon, and Snow. 5 grades. And this Black Tiger stronghold actually had a heaven-grade spiritual god stone mine. They had already excavated thousands of spiritual god stones, and could be considered a very good mine. Originally, the great leader of the Black Tiger stronghold wanted to sell it, but unexpectedly, it was destroyed before he could sell it. This benefited Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan quickly flipped through the books and certificates of property in the study. He was prepared to accept all of them and nurture a group of experts. After sorting out all the shops with property rights, Yi Qinghan did not immediately take the certificates of property rights to the city amongst the clouds to accept them. Instead, he was prepared to nurture a group of trusted subordinates and replace all the shop owners in the city with his own people. There were more than 20 villagers, 10 men and 12 women. They were all very young and would not be able to take on great responsibilities. At this moment, they were all waiting in the meeting hall of the Demon Cloud stronghold, waiting for the summons. Yi Qinghan walked over gracefully and looked at these people. To be able to be captured by the Black Tiger stronghold as slaves, their cultivation was not bad. The village women were captured naturally because of their good looks. After thinking for a moment, Yi Qinghan asked these people, "Introduce yourselves and tell me what you are good at. I will arrange a position for you. Now that the Frost Demon stronghold has many things to do, I need some capable people. I hope you can help me." "Great leader, my name is Yu Yang. I am a hunter of the Yu clan stronghold. I have a gold spiritual body, and I have some knowledge in mining." The oldest-looking young man quickly stood up and replied respectfully, "That is a good spiritual body." Yi Qinghan nodded and continued to look at the others. "Great leader, my name is Yu Zilong. I have an ice spiritual body. I am best at fighting." Another young man stood up and introduced himself. However, when it came to fighting, his voice was much softer. In front of a god of war like Yi Qinghan, who would dare to say that they were good at fighting? Yi Qinghan continued to nod and looked at the group of people introducing themselves. Very quickly, the group of people all spoke of their areas of expertise. There was a pretty girl who was useful, and that was her communication skills. "You are Yu? I have a task for you." The Frost Demon stronghold, which was previously the territory of the Black Tiger stronghold, has a radius of 10,000 miles. There are about 10,000 villages and tribes, and 3,000 family clans. My Frost Demon stronghold now needs a large number of talented young disciples. I can establish a college to groom them personally. It will be called Ares College. You will be in charge of spreading the news and informing all the family clans and tribes in the territory that Ares College will be established in a month. We will recruit the first batch of disciples. Any disciple from the village who can enter Ares College will be under the protection of Ares College. Yi Qinghan looked at the little beauty in front of him and said calmly, "Yes, great leader." Yu stood beside Yi Qinghan excitedly. It was as if being able to serve him was a great honor. They were weak, and if they were useless, they would feel uncomfortable. Remember, you have to remember the current principles of the Frost Demon stronghold. We will never bully the common people. We are a college, an organization that teaches young talents. We are righteous people who protect the territory, and not the Black Tiger stronghold that relies on plundering to survive, Yi Qinghan said calmly. "Yes, great leader. Yu will definitely complete the task." Yu's face was red as she vowed. "Yu Zilong, Yu Zihu, the two of you will be in charge of protecting Miss Yu's safety. You must ensure that all the villages and family clans are notified within a month." If you encounter any danger, crush this message amulet and I will know your location. Hold on for 10 breaths, and I will be able to reach you within 10,000 miles. You can set off now. Yi Qinghan took out a message amulet and placed it in Yu Yu's hand. The three of them received the order and immediately led a black tiger towards the various large villages. Chapter 1163. Yi Qinghan arranged for the rest of the people to build Ares College and gave them a sketch of the building. However, there were too few of them, so he gave them some resources and asked them to recruit people from nearby tribes. After everything was settled, Yi Qinghan went to Zhuiyun village alone. There were still people standing guard at Zhuiyun village. When they saw Yi Qinghan slowly approaching, they quickly sounded the alarm. A large number of villagers looked at Yi Qinghan from afar and were stunned. With Yi Qinghan's speed, they would be caught before they could return to the village. Zhu Xiaoma's legs were shaking as if she was afraid of Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan arrived at Zhuiyun village's training field. He looked at the group of young children who were trying to understand their spiritual qualities with a smile on his face. He did not look like the demon who had killed more than 1,000 black tiger guards in the morning. "Good afternoon, great hero." Zhu Xiaoma was the first to greet him. Everyone else was stunned. "Yes, I'm not here to drink tea. I'm here to ask for help from someone with management skills. I want to take over all the shops of the Black Tiger Guards in Yunzhong City, but I don't have anyone I can trust. I hope that someone with management skills can help me. I'll be responsible for the safety of your village and will pay the person who helps me." Yi Qinghan first made fun of them, then explained his intentions. A holy master-level clan elder from Zhuiyun village walked out. He was extremely respectful and did not dare to have the slightest disrespect. "Sir, you're too polite. You killed the evil Black Tiger Guards. If you really need help, Zhuiyun village will definitely help you." The clan elder quickly replied. Yi Qinghan nodded. It would be best if the people of Zhuiyun village could cooperate. He then told the clan elder about the establishment of Ares College. Zhu Xiaoma's eyes lit up. She hoped to be nurtured by Ares College. In the end, Yi Qinghan took away 14 middle-aged men from the left cloud village. They often went in and out of the city amongst the clouds to buy and sell resources. They were quite knowledgeable about business. The city amongst the clouds was the largest city within a radius of tens of millions of miles. The city lord was an overgod, and the city was divided into 100 counties. The Black Tiger Stockade was one of the powers in the Black Sky County. Although it was a bandit stockade, it was under the protection of the county governor. Every month, the Black Tiger Stockade had to offer a large amount of resources to the Black Sky County. Therefore, the county governor did not care about the lives of the commoners, as long as the Black Tiger Stockade did not massacre every single one of them. Yi Qinghan had done a thorough investigation of the magistrate and found that he was stronger than he was. He was a peak giant god, and was even stronger than the second-generation sorcerer god and the divine python flood dragon. He was half a step into the paramount god level, and could summon the power of heaven and earth to unleash the might of paramount gods. On the way to the city amongst the clouds, Yi Qinghan was considering whether or not he should join forces with Devil Li to eliminate the magistrate and then report directly to the city lord. After entering the Black Sky County, they entered the city amongst the clouds through the gate. The city was vast and towered into the clouds. It was several times larger and more prosperous than a Holy Land's ancestral land. The majestic aura of a true dragon showed the difference between a paramount god and a giant god. The spiritual essence in the city was especially lively, and it was almost within reach. The giant gods were guarding the outside of the city, but they did not stop the commoners from entering. Yi Qinghan led the left cloud village villagers into the city amongst the clouds. According to the address on the certificate, Yi Qinghan began to take over the storefronts one by one. The first storefront was the Black Tiger Miscellaneous Store, which specialized in raw resources such as divine medicines, profound meteorites, divine iron ores, rare divine woods, savage beasts, and beast hides. The annual profit was not bad, and it was worth at least tens of thousands of heaven-grade spiritual godstones. The shopkeeper was an old man with eyes full of wisdom. He was dressed in green and his hair was white, but he was full of vigor. He treated people very kindly, and there were two servants standing beside him. Yi Qinghan stepped into the store. Although it was not big, it was orderly and comfortable. What do you want to buy? My store has everything you need, and the price is fair. I don't cheat anyone, the shopkeeper said with a smile. Yi Qinghan looked around briefly and went straight to the point. After the servants left, he revealed his identity and said calmly, "The Black Tiger Stockade has been destroyed by me, and all of its assets will be taken over by me. If you want to continue working in the store, you have to be loyal to me, not the Black Tiger Stockade." The old man was stunned. He did not expect the powerful Black Tiger Stockade to be destroyed, and even the certificate of ownership of the store was in Yi Qinghan's hands. It was obviously true. "I'm only helping to run the store and earn a living to feed my family. Please give me a chance, sir. I'm willing to assist you in changing the certificate of ownership and transfer the store to your name," the old man said immediately. "How much is your monthly salary?" Yi Qinghan looked down at the old man and asked coldly. 10 earth-rank spiritual spirit stones a month. The old man's cultivation base was not high. He was only a half-step lord level, but he was quite talented in business. The store earned close to 1,000 earth-rank spiritual stones a month at least. Your salary will be doubled in the future, and you'll have 20 earth-rank spiritual spirit stones. Now, bring the certificate of ownership to the Chamber of Commerce in Cloud City to change the certificate of ownership and put it under my name. I'm Yi Qinghan, the current leader of the Frost Demon Stockade. Yi Qinghan gestured for a middle-aged man from Zhuiyun village to follow the old man to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce was an organization directly managed by the city governor of Cloud City, and they were in charge of managing the stores in the city. The stores had to pay a fixed amount of protection fees every year. The Chamber of Commerce protected their interests in the city, and they were the ones who issued the certificate of ownership. The old man quickly led the middle-aged man from Zhuiyun village to the Chamber of Commerce. Yi Qinghan left another villager to look after the store while he led the others to the other stores. There were no obstacles in taking over 7 stores in a row. There were only 10 stores in total. However, when it came to the 8th store, he was actually rejected. The store owner did not acknowledge Yi Qinghan's legal identity at all. Moreover, he demanded Yi Qinghan to hand over the certificate of ownership. Clearly, he wanted to take over the store. Yi Qinghan smiled evilly as he looked at the middle-aged man in front of him. The middle-aged man had a treacherous look on his face. It was as though he was certain that there was no one in the city and that he could take over the store by force. This store was indeed pretty good. The man's name was Chui Geng, and he was quite skilled in business. He was a pawn shop that specialized in purchasing ancient divine objects. His unique vision allowed him to earn a lot of money, and he would often be able to purchase rare treasures. However, he was too clever. He earned several tens of thousands of mystic-rank divine stones every year, but he only sent less than 10,000 to the Black Tiger Stockade. Did you know? More than 1,000 Black Tiger guards from the Black Tiger Stockade, along with their leader, were all killed by me in 2 hours. Are you tired of living trying to negotiate with me? The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth rose as he asked coldly. This is Cloud City. I know all the Divine Guard commanders here. Since you are not from the Black Tiger Stockade, and the Black Tiger Stockade has been eliminated, this store is mine. Leave the certificate of ownership behind and scram. Perhaps I will not make things difficult for you, said Chui Geng in an eerie tone. Chapter 1164. Swish. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly and reached out to grab Chui Geng's neck. He smiled and said indifferently, "It's useless even if you know the city lord and the supreme god. If I want to crush you to death, I can do it with a wave of my hand. If you want to live, you better work for me from today onwards. If you dare to have any disloyalty, I will place a restriction in your sea of consciousness and let you know what despair is." Swish. A strand of golden light rushed into Chui Geng's head and entrenched itself in his soul. It was impossible to refine it. Chui Geng's face was ashen as he looked at Yi Qinghan furiously. Looking at those terrifying eyes, he finally panicked and slowly lowered his head. In the future, you will be the second in command of the pawn shop and assist Mr. Zhuolenk in managing the Divine Treasure Pawn Shop. If your performance is good, I will spare you. Otherwise, I will let you die without a burial ground. Yi Qinghan snorted coldly. Yes, great leader. Cui Gong no longer had any arrogance. This kind of wretch had to be violent. Otherwise, he wouldn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly and took out the certificate of ownership of the Divine Treasure Pawnshop. He handed it to Zhuolenk and said calmly, "Take it to the Merchant Association to change the owner's name." "Write my name." "Yes, great leader." Zhuolenk quickly took it. Cui Gong followed and didn't dare to go against Yi Qinghan's will. With its certificate, changing the certificate of ownership would be much easier. With Cui Gong as an example, Yi Qinghan began to forcefully take over the assets and took away 70% of the spiritual stones in the storefront. He only left the most basic spiritual stones for circulation. Cui Gong had embezzled at least 300,000 heaven-ranked spiritual stones. Yi Qinghan took away 90% and only left him a few tens of thousands of heaven-ranked spiritual stones. After this round of plundering, he obtained a total of 3,000 mystic-ranked spiritual stones, 250,000 heaven-ranked spiritual stones, and 400,000 low-ranked spiritual stones. Cui Gong's face turned green. 90% of his life savings had been taken away by Yi Qinghan. There was no chance for him to embezzle anything in the future, because he was no longer the manager. He still couldn't betray them. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan could kill him with just a thought. With money to pave the way, the name on the proof of assets was quickly changed. Without any difficulties, Yi Qinghan really took over these assets. Although it was not much, it was enough to sustain Aries College. Yi Qinghan arranged for all the villagers from Zuiyun village to enter the shop. On one hand, they could learn how to do business. On the other hand, they could supervise these people. The salary was quite high, so they were naturally willing to stay. After that, Yi Qinghan gathered all the shop owners of the big shops and some of the smaller shops. He promised them some benefits and asked them to help Frost Demon Stronghold run their shops without worries. He also asked them to share the profits with everyone. This way, all the shop owners would work harder to run their shops. After everything was settled, Yi Qinghan gave each shopkeeper a message talisman so that they could contact him at any time. Then, he left the city amongst the clouds alone. He paid 10 Earth-tier spirit stones to teleport to Black Sky County and entered the Frost Demon Stronghold's territory. As soon as he entered the Black Tiger Mountains, he encountered a few strangers, all of whom had powerful cultivation bases. Judging from their attire, they seemed to be subordinates of the prefectural magistrate of Black Heaven County. They were Titan gods, and all of them were haughty and arrogant. "You are the current leader of Black Tiger Mountain, Yi Qinghan?" The leader, a middle-aged man, asked coldly. Yi Qinghan nodded indifferently and snorted through his nose. "I don't care who is in control of Black Tiger Mountain, but our county governor has said that our benefits cannot be reduced. Furthermore, the new faction will have to pay 30% more. This year, we have to hand over 30,000 heaven-ranked spiritual stones, 300 beauties, and 30 supreme treasures and divine herbs." The middle-aged man said coldly. "Blackmail me?" Yi Qinghan sneered to himself. However, he did not look angry on the surface. He pursed his lips, but there was a smile in his eyes. He said indifferently, "No problem. In 3 days, I will bring all the resources to pay a visit to the county governor." That's right. The county governor likes people who know what's good for them. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Yi Qinghan. He rubbed his fingers together as if he was asking for benefits. Yi Qinghan sneered inwardly. He casually took out nearly 300 heaven-ranked spiritual stones and gave them to the middle-aged man. He pretended to be respectful and said, "This is some money for tea for our brothers. There will be more in the future. I hope that you will help us a little." Leader Yi is too polite. Then I will kindly accept it. After all, I am tired from the journey and need some tea to relieve my fatigue. The middle-aged man took the spiritual stones and immediately smiled. He no longer had the cold expression on his face. "Since you are tired, why don't you enter the stronghold to rest? I will serve you good tea and treat you to a feast." Yi Qinghan's brows twitched as he thought of a plan. He extended his hand and led the 4 giant gods up the mountain. Yi Qinghan took out a large amount of spiritual wine from the Great Wastelands Monument. These were all of the best quality. Those who loved wine would definitely like it. This was especially true for these giant gods. How could they not have wine when they were seeking pleasure? Yi Qinghan got all 4 of them drunk. As he drank, he inquired about the number of experts in Black Sky County and their deployment. He also asked about the county governor's current cultivation level and where he was, as well as the relationship between the county governor and the city lord. Indeed, hard work paid off. After drinking to his heart's content, the leader of the group began to grumble. "Motherfucker, only our county governor doesn't know how to do things. He actually offended the 3rd young master of the city lord's residence and caused us brothers to have to look at him when we entered the city. Now, the county governor is thinking of how to curry favor with the 3rd young master." The leader was a little angry. It seemed that the county governor had prevented him from entering the city to enjoy life. Yi Qinghan laughed. However, he had a plan in his mind. Since the county governor and the city lord's 3rd young master had a conflict, then he would get rid of the county governor and replace him. He would also offer some benefits to the 3rd young master. Presumably, the city lord's residence would not make things difficult for him. That's right. The county governor is too stingy. He doesn't treat us as humans all day long. He orders us to exchange for things. If it wasn't for a tactful person like Chief Yi, we wouldn't even have the resources to cultivate, let alone the money to drink a cup of tea in the city. Another drunk leader grumbled. Yi Qinghan took the opportunity to ask, "Oh? It seems that the county governor doesn't treat you well. You don't seem to like him very much." "It's not just us who don't like him. Even the great commanders in the county don't like him. If he wasn't so strong, who would be willing to stay here and be ordered around by him?" The leader of the group said disdainfully. Yi Qinghan was even more relieved now. He decided to assassinate the county governor and secretly control the 2 great commanders of the Black Sky Guards in Black Sky County. Perhaps controlling Black Sky County wouldn't be a difficult task. Everyone has finished drinking. Do you feel weak in your limbs and want to rest? Yi Qinghan's expression changed as he asked with an evil smile. "What do you mean?" The 4 of them had a change in expression. They struggled to stand up, but before they could, they fell to the ground. They didn't have any strength left in their bodies. Their spiritual space was sealed, so there was no way they could control their spiritual power. Yi Qinghan flicked his finger and placed a restriction on the 4 of them. He smiled and said, "I like smart people. I also like people who are tactful. The 4 of you have pretty good cultivation. Follow me and Black Sky County will be under your control." The 4 of them had a drastic change in expression. They looked at Yi Qinghan with panic in their eyes. "What do you want us to do?" The leader of the group asked in shock. "Ask the 2 great commanders of the Black Sky Guards to come out. But don't alert the county governor. Don't worry, I won't kill them. I will only control them. My final goal is naturally to eliminate the county governor and replace him," Yi Qinghan said calmly. Chapter 1165. Inviting the 2 great commanders of the Black Sky Divine Guards. The 4 of them felt their limbs go cold. Once Yi Qinghan failed, the 2 great commanders would beat them to death and even implicate their clansmen. "Great leader, please don't do this to us. The 2 great commanders are almost as strong as the prefectural governor. You can't control them alone. Once you fail, the prefectural governor will be furious and we will have to bear the consequences." Chiu Wei, who was the leader, pleaded bitterly. "Yes, great leader. The 2 great commanders are too strong. You will get yourself into trouble if you do this." The remaining 3 people immediately sobered up and tried to persuade Yi Qinghan. Both Jiulong and Wang Junfeng go there almost every month. They both have an old lover there. One of them is from the Fox clan, while the other is from the Snake clan. Both of them are demons in human form. Their figures, they are indeed good. If it were me, I would also be impulsive. The 2 great commanders would naturally be bewitched. When you go back, tell them directly that the Demon Cloud Citadel is looking for a backer and would like to invite the 2 great commanders to a meal at the Fragrance Pavilion. They are familiar with the place and won't be afraid. Chiu Wei was still unwilling to intervene. However, when he saw Yi Qinghan's determined eyes, he did not know what to say. There is no room for negotiation. If you can't do it well, you will die. I have no interest in being entangled with you, Yi Qinghan said indifferently. In the end, Chiu Wei and the other three had to agree to Yi Qinghan's request. They came arrogantly but left dispiritedly. Chiu Wei returned to the Black Sky City and found in Jiulong and Wang Junfeng overnight. Two domain chiefs, I went to Black Tiger Mountain today and the Black Tiger guards there were wiped out by two young men. Therefore, the prefectural governor asked me to go there and provide 30% of the offerings. They readily agreed and were very generous. They gave me 300 heaven-rank spirit stones on the spot. However, they just entered this place and are looking for a backer. They heard that the two domain chiefs are very powerful and would like to invite you to a meal in the Fragrance Pavilion to get to know you. I wonder if the two of you would be interested in doing me the honor? Chiu Wei found the two domain chiefs in the barracks and respectfully said, Fragrance Pavilion? The leader of the Winter Demon Stronghold is rather tactful. Brethren, shall we go? Wang Junfeng's brows twitched as he spoke indifferently. Then give us some face. Fragrant Pavilion. Tomorrow night, in the largest private room. You can make the arrangements, and Jiulong said. Thank you, both domain chiefs. I will go back and inform him to arrange the best service for both of you and your favorite women. Chiu Wei was very excited. He had finally settled this matter. Black Tiger Mountain. Yi Qinghan received the message very quickly. He looked at the message and smiled. Since ancient times, even heroes have a weakness for beauties. Yi Qinghan stepped out of Black Tiger Mountain and found Emoli. He said in a low voice, Tomorrow night, come to the Fragrance Pavilion outside Black Sky City on time. I will go there first and take care of the two great commanders. We will directly eliminate the prefectural governor. With Black Sky City as the base, we will strive to establish a force within 3 months. I want to reach the front lines of the Snow Empire and the God Realm as soon as possible. Then I will talk to the Realm Lord and enter the Great Wasteland Domain to find the passage back to the Primal Chaos Realm. Good. I am also anxious to go back. We have been missing for so long. I don't know what kind of trouble we will cause. Emoli nodded in agreement. If they could take a shortcut, they would do it even if it was dangerous. Both of them were going to take the risk to control the governor, kill the prefectural governor, and replace him. Yi Qinghan turned and left. The stars moved as he turned into a meteor and streaked across the sky. He took advantage of the night to enter the Fragrance Pavilion. Although it was almost midnight, the place was still brightly lit. There were still a large number of experts wandering around. It was not an exaggeration to say that the Fragrance Pavilion made a lot of money every day. There were top-grade female cultivators everywhere. There were beauties of all races. This place was very lively. Therefore, it could only be built outside the city to avoid disturbing the people. There were several female cultivators wearing revealing clothes wandering outside the Fragrance Pavilion, trying to attract customers. Many people did not want to go in, but after a few words, they immediately followed in. Yi Qinghan's tall and straight body emitted a heroic aura. He appeared outside the Fragrance Pavilion. His big eyes seemed to be able to see through the Fragrance Pavilion. The ladies outside the Fragrance Pavilion looked at Yi Qinghan's handsome face that was as sharp as a knife. For a moment, they did not dare to pull him into this kind of place. They felt that his temperament was otherworldly and should not be tainted by the secular world. Moreover, he should not come to this kind of place. However, Yi Qinghan walked in himself, leaving the ladies dumbfounded. What a pity! I thought that such a handsome man with such a good temperament would not come here. It turns out that he is also like this. Men are all like this. As long as we are willing to open our legs, they will be willing to come in. This is called a hero has a weakness for the charms of a beauty. Kikik, little Xian is right. However, which courtesan do you think a man like him will choose? A few young ladies were discussing in low voices. Yi Qinghan floated into the Fragrance Pavilion. He did not pay attention to the ladies outside. As soon as he entered the pavilion, the hall came to an abrupt halt. No one spoke. It was not that there was no one, but that there were too many people. Men and women of all shapes and sizes. There were at least 100 people. In addition, the people on the second and third floor were all staring at Yi Qinghan. This otherworldly man had a different charm and experience in his eyes. He was like the most dazzling star in the depths of the blue dome of heaven, stealing people's souls. When he stepped into the pavilion, many ladies held their breaths. The other men's eyes were filled with jealousy and admiration. For a moment, they did not know what to say. His golden armor fluttered without any wind. Faint frost spiritual fluctuations undulated unceasingly. A strand of black hair fluttered. His thin lips slightly curved, revealing a row of spotlessly white teeth that were particularly dazzling. Yo, where did this otherworldly little brother come from? You really bring light to my humble fragrance pavilion. A mature and charming brothel keeper was dressed even more revealing. Her skin was like snow, sparkling and translucent. Although she was not thin, she did not have a trace of excess fat. She was very plump and very feminine. Her face was even more enchanting. She swayed her slender waist as she walked towards Yi Qinghan. Her coquettish voice made people feel numb all over. Many men were looking at Yi Qinghan with jealousy and anger. This brothel keeper was famous for being snobbish. This kind of smile and charm were for high officials and nobles. Few relied on appearance to win this kind of charming smile. Yi Qinghan looked at the enchanting lady in front of him and smiled indifferently. It was like the warm spring sunshine. He stretched out his hand and 3 mystic spirit stones on the ground. His magnetic voice resounded. Please help me arrange a large private room and 4 guest rooms. I estimate that I will need to use it until the day after tomorrow. As for the requirements, we will discuss it in the private room. 3 mystic spirit stones were equivalent to 30,000 earth spirit stones and 3,000 heaven spirit stones. It was equivalent to half a year's harvest for a small village. The brothel keeper immediately smiled like a flower. She stretched out her jade-like hand and placed it on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. She smiled and said, Yo, little brother seems to be a rich young master. Please follow me to the 4th floor. Chapter 1166. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Yi Qinghan was pulled up to the 4th floor by the charming brothel keeper. Yi Qinghan didn't refute and only followed silently. He wanted to know more. Maybe this kind of woman knew more than the county governor. Entering the 4th floor, there was a large private room. The room was surrounded by high and soft animal skin cushions. In the middle, there was a round table surrounded by a few chairs. The faint red light inside made people's hearts flutter and their hormones dance. A row of rubies and sapphires hung on the wall. The decoration was very luxurious. The scenery in the window was a scene of spring water and green mountains. Half of the mountain range could be seen at a glance. The stars in the sky were like a waterfall, as if the stars were within reach. Strands of starlight poured down, filling the private room. This was indeed a perfect place. The brothel keeper pushed open the door and entered. Under the moonlight, her slender legs were enchanting. Yi Qinghan glanced at her from the corner of his eyes. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but curl up as he followed her in. Yi Qinghan smiled. He walked to the window and looked at the brothel keeper, Sister Yao, and gently said, The scenery and the beauty complement each other. The scenery and the beauty are truly breathtaking. Isn't that right, Sister Yao? Sister Yao raised her head and looked at Yi Qinghan, charmingly saying, Oh, it seems like you came prepared. This big sister has never seen you before, but you know my name. You even paid so many spirit stones in one go. Speak, tell me your true motive. Yi Qinghan chuckled. There was no need to beat around the bush with a woman like her. He reached out his strong arm and wrapped it around her waist, pulling her into his embrace. He looked down at her rosy lips with a devilish aura. Her personality and figure made him restless. If I didn't have a motive, why would I come here in advance? Since I'm already here, if I don't inquire about the most beautiful, most feminine, and most attractive woman in the fragrance pavilion, what else can I do? Yi Qinghan smiled. Tsk, your little mouth is really sweet. I can't be considered the most beautiful woman. There are quite a few women in Fragrance Pavilion who are prettier than me. However, I dare to admit that I'm the most attractive and feminine. I don't believe that you won't be moved. Sister Yao's smile was enchanting, but she was truly happy in her heart. Her soft breasts were trembling, causing Yi Qinghan to feel restless. Yi Qinghan looked down at the mature woman and said in a low voice, I am Yi Qinghan, who wiped out the Black Tiger Stockade a few days ago. I built the Frost Demon Stockade. As a newcomer, I will offend people. If there is no one to protect me, it will be hard for me to develop. Therefore, I would like to use my connections to invite the 2 domain chiefs of the Black Sky County to a banquet. Sister Yao should know the 2 domain chiefs better. Can you give me some advice? Why should I help you? Sister Yao asked. Then what do you want? Yi Qinghan's devilish smile made the woman unable to refuse. I want you to give it to me? You little vixen. Sister Yao wriggled her body seductively. Her jade-like hands caressed Yi Qinghan's chest, as if she was sensing his heartbeat. Sister Yao isn't someone who likes handsome men. According to my investigation, although you look very flirtatious on the surface, you actually don't allow men to take advantage of you. Being able to pull you into my embrace is already taking advantage of me. But are you attracted by my beauty and moved? Yi Qinghan teased. Yo, I'm just flattering you a little and you're already so cocky. I've been in the pugilistic world for so long, what kind of men have I not seen? I'm just curious. Judging from your temperament, you don't seem to be the type to take advantage of others. I just want to know your true motive. I don't think you're really trying to curry favor with the 2 domain chiefs. Sister Yao looked straight at Yi Qinghan, as if she had seen through him. Yi Qinghan's body stiffened for a moment. He looked calmly at Sister Yao in his embrace and gradually released his grip. Guessed right. I've seen countless men, what kind of men have I not seen before? Do you think you can fool my eyes with your little tricks? Sister Yao smiled. Yi Qinghan suddenly moved, pushing Sister Yao down onto the beeskin cushion. As if he had been electrocuted, the soft cushion caved in. Sister Yao, you've seen countless men, but don't you know that you shouldn't touch the secrets in the depths of men's hearts? Yi Qinghan's hoarse voice was filled with magnetism. I don't like to pry into other people's secrets, but from the first time I saw you, I wanted to see through you. But you don't want me to see the secrets in your heart? Sister Yao's face was flushed red, as if she was really rarely touched by others. She was simply too seductive. No man could resist such a woman. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He raised his right hand, lifted her chin, and said in a hoarse voice, Since you want to know, I'll tell you. My real target is the great wasteland world. Sister Yao, can you provide me with some information? Sister Yao's eyes widened as she looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. She didn't expect his target to be the great wasteland world. The Grand Wastelands world is a place where the paramount gods go to hunt for treasures, Sister Yao said. You're just a giant god rookie, and you're going to die if you try to go there. Besides, the passageway isn't open to just anyone. You have to have the permission of the Realm Lord or a peak paramount god to enter. Yi Qinghan smiled. As expected, information came quickly in this place. Is there any other information? Yi Qinghan immediately asked. If you want information, you'll have to give me something in exchange. I'm not free, Sister Yao said with a charming smile. Or do you want me? Of course. Look at how great you are. If you're satisfied, I can help you get a letter. A flirtatious tone came from the room. In the faint red atmosphere, hormones were bursting forth. Yi Qinghan's breathing stagnated. He slowly lowered his body and came into close contact with Sister Yao. Gently, he reminded her, there is no future between us. I won't take responsibility. I don't need you to take responsibility. If you serve me well enough, I'll be your lover. But because I'm moved. After so many years, I also need to balance my yin and yang. However, I want the person I love to fight with me. You're very suitable. Simple words, but they struck a chord in her heart. Yi Qinghan slowly lifted her veil, stirring her heart. Sister Yao did her best to cooperate. She lifted her body and removed her clothes, revealing her perfect body. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up. Humans weren't saints. How could they be without desires? They were all mortals, No matter how strong a person was, no matter how strong a god was, they were still mortals. All titles were given by humans. I'll satisfy your request. I hope you can satisfy my eyes as well. Yi Qinghan was incomparably charming, exuding a wild and manly aura. Yi Qinghan leaned forward and did his best to satisfy the beauty in front of him. Chapter 1167. In the primal chaos realm, the divine bird, the little moneygrubber, and the little golden crow leisurely made their way to the insane sect. Only then did they realize that Yi Qinghan and Emoli were ambushed, and Emoli did not return to the demonic god mountain. Both sides almost fought. The divine bird used a lot of persuasion to convince the demonic god mountain. In addition, Qin Wendian did not allow them to fight. Both sides managed to stabilize the situation for the time being. A large number of experts rushed to the Six Paths domain, destroying the entire place. Corpses of the demonic god guards and baleful blood guards were strewn all over the place. The second sorcerer god did not even have time to clean them up. Everyone in the Six Paths domain was killed and buried in the lake in the city. We were ambushed here. If I didn't find the array core, this divine bird would be finished. The divine bird sighed. Emperor Yi and Qin Wendian rushed to the blood lake in the city. Looking at the corpses, the smell of flesh and blood had changed and even started to rot. The stench was overwhelming and they were furious. Who could be so cruel? They actually massacred an entire city. Emperor Yi clenched his fists and said angrily. The demonic god mountain's Yushin personally arrived. Looking at the blood lake, she waved her divine power and pushed aside the flesh and blood. Looking at the array below, she said hoarsely, the blood fiend sky sealing array. This is the most powerful array in the primal chaos era. Once sealed, no one can break it from the inside or the outside unless they find the array core. The blood fiend sky sealing array is known as the most vicious array. It uses flesh and blood to accumulate endless resentment and fear. It gathers baleful aura, sealing the sky and suppressing the earth. This array is a secret array that both the demonic god mountain and the sorcerer tribe knew. Qin Wendian looked at Yushin and Emperor Yi. He noticed that Emperor Yi was a little vigilant and was glaring at the two. He quickly explained, Auntie, believe me. It's definitely not the demonic god mountain's doing. So it's the sorcerer tribe's doing? Then the sorcerer tribe can do whatever they want? How did they know that Master and Emoli passed by the Six Paths domain at that time? Emperor Yi asked coldly. Yushin frowned and pondered for a moment. This matter is very simple. When Sect Master Yi went to invite the demon god, he was discovered by the sorcerer tribe. They set up a large array here in advance and waited for him. Auntie, the demon god mountain won't harm Emoli as well. The divine bird saw the two of them fighting together, so there's a high chance that it was done by the shaman tribe. However, the most important thing for us now is to find the location of Uncle and Emoli. Since they managed to escape from the blood fiend sky sealing great formation, they naturally have the ability to escape from their pursuit. However, they haven't returned yet, which means that there's a problem. Emperor Yi nodded and returned to the city gate to meet up with Jiang Jingtian and the others. Seeing them examining the corpses of the blood evil guards, he was even more certain that they were not from the demon god mountain because many of the blood evil guards had been killed by Emoli. There are no clues. They are all strangers who have never appeared before. However, there is a group of people who are the same as the ones who attacked the Endless Star System, Jiang Jingtian said in a low voice. I've tracked down the direction Brother Yi and Emoli escaped in. Let's chase after them now. Zixian used a forbidden technique to reconstruct the origin. Along the way, Yi Qinghan and Emoli had been fighting and fleeing. They had not concealed themselves at all, so it was easy to track them. However, the origin of the blood evil guards could not be tracked down. Schwad at this moment, a figure appeared on the city wall. He wore a mask and his clothes fluttered in the wind. His killing intent soared to the sky. The divine bird immediately shouted, It's this bastard who brought people to stop us. Boom. The 12 experts of the demon god mountain and the shaman tribe drew their swords at the same time. The 12 of them were all top-notch saint sons and were comparable to saint lords. They glared at the second shaman god. The second shaman god's eyes emitted a cold light as he stared at the divine bird. He ignored the others and coldly asked the divine bird, "Devouring spirit parrot, were you the one who broke the blood fiend sky ceiling great formation? Of course, don't you know who this divine bird is? I can break this broken thing with a wave of my hand. It's not like it's some supreme divine formation." The divine bird held its head high and said disdainfully. The second shaman god's lips curled up. If it wasn't for the mask covering his cold smile, it would definitely scare people to death. "Then what about the person who chased after you? Who killed him?" The second shaman god continued to ask. "You're talking about that rookie?" My bird body shook and my divinity erupted. "He was killed by me on the spot. Now, his corpse is at the bottom of the river, being eaten by the fishes." The divine bird raised its head in disdain as if it had just killed a small fry. The second shaman god laughed evilly. Looking at the divine bird's smug look, his evil aura burst forth as he mocked. "I didn't expect the devouring spirit parrot to have such ability." The divine bird was unhappy when it heard that. It roared, "I'm not a good bird. If God blocks me, I'll kill God. If devil blocks me, I'll kill devil. Anyone who blocks my path, I'll kill without mercy." Everyone looked at each other. They did not expect the divine bird to be so high profile. "Do you know who he is? With just you? Even 100 of them together would not be a match for him. Tell me, who is the murderer, and I'll leave your corpse intact." The second shaman god was really angry. He did not want to talk nonsense with it, so he angrily rebuked. "I don't care who he is. If he's an enemy, I'll kill him as well. You won't be able to leave today. Tell me honestly, where did you chase my master and Emoli?" The divine bird did not give him any face and coldly asked. "I killed them. Consider it a little interest." The second shaman god ruthlessly retorted. "Bullshit. If my master was dead, the little golden crow would have been dead already. If my master wasn't dead, Emoli wouldn't have died either. You must have lost them, right? I know this guy's speed very well. Even if you had 2 more legs, you wouldn't be able to catch up." The divine bird scolded. "You're courting death." The second shaman god was furious. He pulled out his sword and was about to kill the divine bird. "Brothers, kill this bitch." Whoosh! The divine bird took a step back and waved its wings forward as it shouted to the crowd. Ting 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 ting. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Buzz. At that moment, the experts attacked the second shaman god at almost the same time. Emperor Yi played the zither, buffing everyone. Yushin rushed forward aggressively. Jiang Jingtian and Yi Kuan were no exception. At that moment, they all wanted to kill the second shaman god and take off his mask to see if he was the second shaman god. Boom boom boom. More than 10 attacks attacked the city walls at the same time. The walls of the 6 paths divine city collapsed. The second shaman god's divine sword shattered everyone's attacks. His body flew backward, but he used the momentum to escape. His figure flashed and disappeared at an extremely fast speed. It was impossible to catch up. Yushin did not give chase. Instead, she stood on top of the collapsed city wall and said in a low voice, "This person shouldn't be the second shaman god. His divine weapon is the shaman spear, an ancestral weapon. It's an overgod weapon. If he really did attack Sect Master Yi and Young Master, they wouldn't have a chance to escape if he used the overgod weapon." Emperor Yi frowned and thought. Other than the demon god mountain and the shaman tribe, there didn't seem to be anyone who had a deep grudge against them. Why would they want the insane sect and the demon god mountain to kill each other? However, Zixin reacted quickly. He turned to the divine bird and asked, "That person just said that the person who was chasing you is dead. He should be a big shot. Who killed him? What does he look like?" The divine bird was stunned. That guy was dragged into the water by the water monkey. Who would dare fight with it for the corpse? Yi Qinghan almost didn't come up from the bottom of the water, so it didn't dare to go down. Therefore, Wu Ye's identity was still not exposed. The second shaman god also considered this point. He didn't want to search for Wu Ye's corpse and left immediately. Yi Qinghan leaned over and whispered into Sister Yao's ear. So comfortable? You're the best man I've ever met. Sis Yao exclaimed excitedly as she collapsed onto the floor in satisfaction. I will be in the future as well. Yi Qinghan chuckled mischievously. All right, you're indeed not a good person. Everyone else would avoid me, but you pushed me down once more just because I'm the concubine of a supreme god. You're 10 times crazier than yesterday. If he were to find out about this, you'll die a horrible death. Sister Yao chuckled. If I die under a beauty's skirt, I'll still be a romantic ghost. Besides, I already did it last night. If he were to find out, I'd have to at least earn a little more before I die, right? Yi Qinghan muttered. But you're smart. Sis Yao tightly hugged Yi Qinghan's back as she gently said, if you want to enter the Great Wasteland domain, you'll need the Realm Lord's personal decree. If you want to get close to the Realm Lord, you'll need to at least have a certain level of qualifications. You'll need to obtain the approval of that Dead City Lord of Cloud Nation before you can participate in the Snow Nation's Divine Realms Elite Competition. If you win the competition, you'll naturally receive the Realm Lord's recognition. Seeing the Realm Lord, Yi Qinghan felt somewhat uneasy. If the Realm Lord of Snow Nation's Divine Realm were to discover his Great Wasteland Tablet, wouldn't he be walking right into a trap? Is there any other way? Yi Qinghan asked with a frown. If there's no other way, then you can only rely on robbing. If you can defeat a supreme god, then you might as well give it a try. Sis Yao giggled. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a mocking smile as he slowly stood up. He grabbed a soft veil from the cushion and draped it over Sis Yao's body. He wore his own clothes and sat down on the cushion. He stared at the vivid and lifelike painting on the wall, as if a phoenix had been reborn and was about to soar into the sky. He was somewhat absent-minded. What other goals do you have? Tell me all at once. I'll help you do them all. Who asked me to be conquered by you? Sis Yao rolled up the soft veil and wrapped it around her body, making her look even more charming. She sat beside Yi Qinghan and gently leaned on his shoulder. She followed his gaze and looked at the phoenix painting. I want to conquer the 2 great generals of the Black Sky Guards and kill the Black Sky County Governor. Yi Qinghan turned his head and looked down at Sis Yao, not hiding anything. Sis Yao looked up at him with surprise, excitement, and curiosity in her eyes. I see. Haha, Elder Sister Yao said. Looks like I was right about you. I knew you weren't an ordinary person. To think that you'd want to replace a prefectural governor right from the start. Although your idea is pretty domineering, it won't be easy to pull it off. Chapter 1169. Yi Qinghan stayed in the private room until evening when he received Mo Li's message. He got up and went to the fragrance pavilion. His 2 enchanting faces made all women pale in comparison. He was as cold as ice as he walked straight to the private room on the 4th floor. Sister Yao looked at Mo Li, her eyes flashing with intelligence. She knew that this person was the young man Yi Qinghan had mentioned. She could feel a faint killing intent coming from Mo Li. It was a chilling and demonic aura. She was curious about Yi Qinghan and Mo Li's background. It was impossible for such powerful young men to appear in this area, let alone 2 at once. Sister Yao had changed into a very formal dress. She avoided Mo Li and walked out of the room with a nod and a smile. She was a very tactful woman. That was Sister Yao. I believe that she will help us deal with the 2 domain chiefs. After we suppress the 2 domain chiefs tonight, we will enter the city and kill the county chief. After that, we will meet the city lord of Cloud City in the name of the county chief. We need to enter the Great Wasteland domain and find the entrance to the Primal Chaos realm as soon as possible, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Reliable? Mo Li frowned, as if he was unwilling to believe Sister Yao. Yes. Trust my judgment, Yi Qinghan said with a smile. We have only known each other for a day. Your judgment is too casual. How can I trust you? This woman may be beautiful and charming, but the more beautiful a woman is, the more she will lie. I don't trust her. You didn't tell her the whole plan, did you? Mo Li asked. Although we have only known each other for a short time, I have already deeply understood her. She is a top-grade woman. She is very tactful, sensible, and mature. It is not a problem to put her behind me. As for her, she knows half of my plan. It is simple. She doesn't know the final goal, Yi Qinghan said with an evil smile. I can't believe that the sect leader of the mad sect would be so frivolous. Sleeping with someone after knowing each other for only a day. I wonder what kind of expression your brothers would have if they knew about this. It seems like you're just pretending to be a gentleman. You're such a cold but passionate man. Don't act so righteous in front of me in the future, Emily blurted out in one breath. This was probably the sentence he said the most. Yi Qinghan's expression suddenly changed. His cold aura made Emily take a few steps back. I'm not a good person. I've never hidden anything from you, so don't provoke me. If you offend me, I won't rest until I'm dead. This time, it's the sorcerer tribe who tried to kill us. I'll definitely kill them when I get back. As for your demon god mountain, you'd better hand over those who killed my brothers to me. Otherwise, I'll uproot your demon god mountain. Emily took a few steps back. I won't hand over those people. I was the one who gave the order to surround the mad sect. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for holding Wenian captive. She's one of my people, and she has the demon god's inheritance gene. If you want to change history and the future, you have to bear the responsibility. If you want revenge, come and look for me. I'll take care of you when you get to the primal chaos realm, Emily replied in a muffled voice. Yi Qinghan pursed his lips and remained silent. He clenched his fists tightly. It was as if he only understood at this moment that those people from the mad sect were killed because he didn't believe in the supernatural. He wanted to delay the unification of the primal chaos realm, but in the end, they still reunited. He wanted to keep Qin Wenyan here and suppress the demon god's inheritance gene, but in the end, it was still activated. Everything didn't go according to his plan. Am I too stubborn? Was it because I didn't believe in evil? Could it be that everything in this world has a fixed path, and we all follow the path of karma step by step? If that's the case, what's the meaning of our lives? Those who defy the heavens die, those who obey the heavens grieve? Who's the one controlling the fate of this world and turning the roulette of the world? A cold glint flashed in Yi Qinghan's eyes. He was filled with killing intent as he hoarsely muttered to himself, I'd rather die standing than live a pitiful life. I don't believe that I can't win against the heavens. I can't win against the person behind the heavens. Emoli furrowed his brows. Looking at Yi Qinghan's killing intent and cold glint in his eyes, he actually felt a chill run down his spine. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's communication amulet flashed. He took a look and saw that it was a message from Chiu Wei. Yi Qinghan glanced at it and said in a low voice, We'll talk about our matters in the future. The two domain chiefs and Chiu Wei are here. I'll get Sister Yao to prepare. Today's matter cannot be allowed to go wrong. I must obtain the position of prefectural governor. Okay, we'll settle our matters in the primal chaos realm. Emoli nodded. Yi Qinghan pushed open the door. Sister Yao was right outside the private room. Looking down from above, the entire fragrance pavilion was reflected in her eyes. Sister Yao, they are heading towards the fragrance pavilion. I'll have to trouble you to prepare. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Sister Yao winked at him and snapped her fingers. 4 top-grade beauties walked out from the private room next door. Among them were Cat Lady and Snake Lady. They were in Jiulong and Wang Juanfeng's favorites. As for the other two, they were naturally Chiu Wei and Mo Li's. Men, as long as there are wine and beauties, there's no man that can't be settled. If a man doesn't like beauties and wine, then he's not human. Leave tonight to me. I guarantee that they won't be able to walk out of this room. Sister Yao transmitted a message. Chapter 1170. The 2 lieutenants followed Sister Yao into the fragrance pavilion. The 2 of them were famous in the Black Sky County. Who didn't know them? Therefore, they would be hit on from time to time. However, they were too arrogant and even Yi Qinghan was ignored. Yi Qinghan maintained his smile. He was glad that Sister Yao was here today. Otherwise, it would be difficult to deal with these 2 men who only had women and wine in their eyes. After entering the private room, Jiulong and Wang Junfeng only nodded at Yi Qinghan and Emoli. Then, they each hugged their favorite women and sat at the table. Chiu Wei was also assigned a woman, while Mo Li sat beside another woman. Sister Yao showed the elegance of a royal sister and controlled the situation. She ordered a large amount of delicacies and used the best wine in the fragrance pavilion, maiden fragrance. It was definitely in Jiulong and Wang Juanfeng's favorite. In the past, they rarely drank it because they spent their own money. However, today Yi Qinghan paid for them, so they naturally drank it in big mouthfuls. In addition, Snake Girl and Cat Girl urged them to drink. Sister Yao also smiled charmingly at the side. Lieutenants, I haven't had the chance to drink with the two of you. Today, we won't leave until we're drunk. Otherwise, you're not giving me face. The royal sister stood up with a smile and took the lead to drink a cup. Sister Yao is too polite. Today, it's all thanks to Stockade Master Yi. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the chance to sit at the same table as Sister Yao. And Jiulong laughed until his beard trembled. He stood up humbly and bowed back to Sister Yao. Yi Qinghan and Mo Li couldn't interrupt at all. Chiu Wei didn't dare to say anything either and allowed Sister Yao to control them. Cat Girl and Snake Girl toasted with all their might and wandered around the two of them without restraint. And Jiulong and Wang Junfeng lost their minds and drank big mouthfuls of wine and meat with smiles on their faces. They didn't expect Sister Yao to deal with the two of them. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and tasted the maiden fragrance. It was indeed a good wine, rich and mellow. Just a whiff of it would cause one's heart to tremble. It was as if what was in front of him wasn't a cup of fine wine, but the naked body of a beautiful woman, perfect and flawless. After drinking it, a tyrannical energy gushed out, causing one's heroic spirit to soar. It was as if he had seen a hero on the battlefield, never to return. His corpse was wrapped in leather, and only a shroud was sent home. It caused one's heart to ache. Yi Qinghan's T2. Haha, I didn't expect Stockade Master Yi to say what I wanted to say the most. Yi Qinghan smiled as he stood up. Aside from Mo Li, everyone seemed to have seen Yi Qinghan on the battlefield, holding back 10,000 enemies by himself. He killed until the enemies were terrified. The Realm Army. The Realm Army at the border of the 8 Great Worlds. Only they could be so strong. Only they could be so domineering. They were definitely the supreme kings of the same level. In terms of individual combat power, aside from the supreme gods, no one could compete with the Realm Army. Their combat experience was more powerful than any chief disciple of any sect. Wang Junfeng couldn't see through Yi Qinghan, so he didn't dare to offend him. If Yi Qinghan was really a retired Realm Army soldier, he wouldn't even give him face when drinking. There would be hard days in the future. So he directly stood up and drank with Yi Qinghan. The fire in Yi Qinghan's eyes burned even brighter. His face turned redder. The strength of the maiden's fragrance couldn't be dissolved with divine power. After drinking 2 jars of wine, he couldn't stand it either. His veins popped out, and the pressure was terrifying. He wanted to pull out his sword and go berserk. Wang Junfeng drank more than half and finally couldn't take it anymore. He turned around and spat out all the wine in his mouth. Stockade Master Yi has a good tolerance for alcohol. Wang Junfeng sighed. Stockade Master Yi is a retired Realm Army soldier? And Jiulong stared at Yi Qinghan. He stabilized his last bit of rationality and asked in shock. Sister Yao was also shocked. It was as if she was meeting Yi Qinghan for the first time. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. It was filled with the fragrance of the maiden's fragrance. He nodded slightly to numb the 2 lieutenants. His eyes, however, looked at Mo Li. The light in his eyes was only understood by him. At this moment, Mo Li and Yi Qinghan suddenly attacked while everyone was stunned. Yi Qinghan dealt with Jiulong while Mo Li attacked Wang Junfeng. They were as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, their fingertips grabbed onto the 2's throats. Divine power poured out and sealed the 2 lieutenants' spiritual space, making them unable to release their divine power. And Jiulong was shocked. Seeing the flames in Yi Qinghan's eyes, his body stiffened. He didn't dare to move and could only ask for help from Sister Yao. My target is not you. It's the county governor of Black Sky County. As long as you cooperate, I will spare your lives. Furthermore, I will give you the authority to control Black Sky County, Yi Qinghan said coolly. The women in the room were all Sister Yao's subordinates. They didn't panic and just silently retreated to the side, waiting for Sister Yao's orders. How many years has it been since someone killed a county chief? It was fine if they had a background, but if they didn't, the city lord would be angry. Once the supreme god was angry, the county chief would be dead. And Jiolong and Wang Junfeng looked at Sister Yao in fear, hoping that she would say something. After all, her status was different. Cooperate with them to kill Black Jundao. His position as county chief has come to an end. He offended the third young master and will die sooner or later. Kill him and bring his head to the third young master. He will naturally not let the city lord punish you, Sister Yao said emotionlessly. Chapter 1171. And Jiolong and Wang Junfeng had drunk a little too much, so they were still unable to move their bodies. Their spiritual space was also sealed, and Yi Qinghan had placed a soul restriction on them. Now, they were like fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Yi Qinghan had drunk 2 jars of maiden fragrance in a row. At this moment, he could no longer control the divine power in his body. His dragon blood was boiling, on the verge of erupting. His veins were bulging, and his wildness and fierceness rushed out, suppressing everyone in the room. Even Mo Li's blood was somewhat stagnant. The Black Sky County chief was cultivating at Black Spirit Mountain outside the county capital. The spiritual space there was very active, making it very suitable for closed-door cultivation. And Jiolong was the Black Sky Guard's lieutenant, while Wang Junfeng was the city guard's lieutenant. The two of them knew most of the county chief's movements. Thus, Yi Qinghan easily grasped the county chief's information. Cat Lady, Snake Lady, and the other 2 women were Sister Yao's trusted aides. Although they were trustworthy, Yi Qinghan did not trust them. Thus, he did not let them leave. Until midnight, when most of the people in the fragrance pavilion had entered the guest rooms to rest. Only then did Yi Qinghan and Mo Li lead the 2 lieutenants out of the room. Sister Yao followed them out. Look after them. I don't want this plan to be exposed, Yi Qinghan whispered into her ear. I'll lead them outside. If they need help, I'll take action. If not, I'll watch from the side. Sister Yao smiled and said, My sisters are quite strong. Although they are not a match for a lieutenant, they should have no problem keeping the county chief busy for an incense stick's worth of time. Only then did Yi Qinghan feel relieved and stepped out of the fragrance pavilion. Along the way, the group rushed towards Black Spirit Mountain. Facing the night wind, Yi Qinghan's mind became clearer. However, his blood flowed even faster, becoming incomparably violent. Dragon scales covered his entire body, and no matter how hard he tried to suppress it, a dragon's might still spread out. At midnight, when the darkness was thick, Yi Qinghan and the others arrived at Black Spirit Mountain. Yi Qinghan and Mo Li were currently setting up a formation to control the entire Black Spirit Mountain. However, they did not have enough manpower. They could only rely on Sister Yao, Catgirl, and a few others. The array was quickly set up. And Jiolong, the strongest existence, was personally controlling the array core. Furthermore, the array core was outside the array. As long as the array core was not damaged and Jiolong did not die, the entire array would not be destroyed. Even if the mountains and seas were moved inside, it would not be transmitted to the outside world. He could not use the Great Wastelands tablet. Chapter 1172. Boom boom boom. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 20 li of mountain range was uprooted and destroyed. With Yi Qinghan and Mo Li working together, they were absolutely invincible against anyone below the supreme god level. In addition, Mo Li had demonized and entered a berserk state, bathing in demonic blood. His baleful aura affected He Juandao's mind. He was indeed a half-step supreme god, but he was still not a supreme god. The 3 fought chaotically within the formation, flying through the sky and burrowing into the ground. Occasionally, they would explode, shaking the mountains and cracking the earth. The spectators outside were dumbfounded, their hair standing on end. Yi Qinghan was tyrannical, Mo Li was cruel, and He Juandao was powerful. They fought like a powerful realm army, their strength far surpassing theirs. After fighting for an entire hour, He Juandao's body was covered in blood. His physical defense was completely shattered. No matter how he adjusted or used any secret technique, he could not gain the upper hand because Yi Qinghan's strength was too strong, so strong that it could cause fatal damage to him. Every time he was defeated, Mo Li would follow up with another attack. His destructive power was even stronger. After being heavily injured several times, his strength was getting weaker and weaker, and he could only passively take the beating. They could not escape. The two commanders did not have the chance to betray, nor did they dare to. If Yi Qinghan wanted to kill them, it would only take a thought. No wonder he is so confident and tyrannical. Among the younger generation, they are the most qualified to become a realm army. Sister Yao looked at the battlefield with infatuation. Although she could not see the trajectory and was even covered by sand and stones, she could still see the irresistible attraction of that tyrannical figure. Mo Li did not want to delay any longer. His peak strength could only last for 2 hours. He used a supreme forbidden technique from the demonic god scripture. A spear swept up the momentum of space and time, directly tearing apart the formation. The spear wanted to destroy everything in front of it, turning into a straight line and piercing towards He Juandao. Great desolate world-breaking technique. Yi Qinghan also used his strongest move. This punch contained the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger and a series of other powerful divine abilities and secret arts. It caused a strange phenomenon in the heaven and earth. It swept up a true dragon and blasted towards He Juandao. The powerful attack locked down his escape path, forcing He Juandao to resist it head-on. However, with his cultivation, how could he resist the Supreme Saint technique and the Supreme Great Desolate Dao scripture? Puchi.boom. Yi Qinghan and Mo Li struck He Juandao's body at the same time. The long spear pierced through his head while Yi Qinghan's fist landed on his chest. He Juandao's chest was actually pierced through by Yi Qinghan's fist. Just as Yi Qinghan used the power of the Great Desolate to break the world, a beam of light suddenly shot out from a palace in the holy city of ice of the Snow Country's god realm. A thought instantly enveloped half of the Snow Country's god realm. It was quickly covering this place. A powerful pressure suddenly covered the sky and earth. Yi Qinghan was shocked. He knew that his great desolate power had ruined his attempt to break the world. He shouted at Demon, "Hurry up and bring his body to the palace. I will make up for it." Swish! A large amount of icy spiritual aura gushed out from Yi Qinghan's body, covering an area of 100 miles in an attempt to erase the power of the great wilderness. Fortunately, he didn't use the Great Wastelands tablet. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to hide it. Yi Qinghan released almost all the spiritual aura in his body. The spiritual aura in this place was almost extremely dense. The great desolate power quickly returned to his body. The aura was restrained, and the tyrannical aura also dispersed. Following that, Yi Qinghan felt a spiritual aura sweep past him. It hesitated for a moment before charging into the distance. Dong dong dong. Yi Qinghan's frantic heartbeat could no longer be suppressed. It was as if a mortal was being stared at by a top god. Too strong. It was definitely not a supreme god. The entire territory of the Snow Country's god realm was vast and boundless. The realm master completed his inspection in a short 2 hours. However, he didn't discover that special power. At this moment, Yi Qinghan had also completely retracted the overflowing great desolate power into his body. His aura was restrained, and he was like an ordinary king. He didn't dare to make the slightest movement. Following that, a second spiritual aura swept across the sky. However, this time, not only did it stop, it stayed for a long time. Yi Qinghan's forehead was covered in sweat, but he still gritted his teeth and endured. That powerful spiritual aura crossed time and space and rushed into the underground. It discovered the terrifying demonic nature and powerful qi and blood on Mo Li's body. However, it didn't discover the corpse because the corpse had already been dissolved by Mo Li. The wisp of power of desolates on his body was also neutralized by the terrifying demonic nature and demonic blood on Mo Li's body. Mo Li was sitting in the cave, one with his spear. A dense demonic nature filled the underground palace. Otherwise, this spiritual aura would definitely have discovered the power of desolates, even if it was very faint. After about 10 breaths, the spiritual aura quickly retreated and disappeared without a trace. Tens of thousands of miles away, in the sacred city of ice, a white-haired, sage-like old man with eyes full of vicissitudes and wisdom. However, at this moment, there was a trace of doubt in his eyes. Was this old man being too sensitive? Just now, in that instant, I clearly felt the power of Desolate's fluctuation. It should be in my snow country's divine realm, but why couldn't I find it? Was it an illusion? The old man muttered to himself in a hoarse voice. That aura was still very weak, so weak that it could be ignored. It's impossible for it to be erased instantly after erupting without me noticing. This old man was the realm lord of the snow country's divine realm, the heavenly snow god. At this moment he suspected that he was overthinking things. The snow country's divine realm was so vast that it was boundless. There were wars everywhere. For example, Yi Qinghan and He Juandao's battle. There were many battles every day. The heavenly snow god didn't pay too much attention to Yi Qinghan. If a person at this level didn't sense the power of desolates, he wouldn't send his spiritual aura to patrol a world. Perhaps someone accidentally released the desolate's god stone, but it was quickly sealed. He has been dead for so long, and the great desolate domain has been destroyed. It's impossible for there to be an inheritor. The heavenly snow god thought for a moment and said firmly, Black Sky County, Black Spirit Mountain. Yi Qinghan was scared out of his wits. This wasn't even the Great Desolate's monument. If the Great Desolate's monument was used, even the realm lords of the outer realm would be alerted. Sister Yao didn't understand what that strand of spiritual aura represented. She was so scared that her face turned pale. She quickly ran to Yi Qinghan's side and asked in shock, Stockade Master Yi, that was... Yi Qinghan knew it was a realm lord, but he didn't want to cause an uproar. He shook his head and said, I don't know. It should be a supreme god expert. The two lieutenants were guarding the array. The array was torn apart and sent flying by the shockwaves. They didn't pay attention to what Yi Qinghan said to Emoli. At this moment, they were also confused. Soon, Emoli walked up from below. He stared at Yi Qinghan with shock in his eyes. He was a smart person. He knew that the soul just now was directed at Yi Qinghan because he used the power of desolates to break the world. I don't care who you are. In the future, you are not allowed to use that kind of cultivation technique in front of me. I don't want to be implicated and die. Emoli warned with a cold voice. Everyone, please subscribe to QQ. Thank you so much. However, with such an important secret of his, how could he allow her to leave so easily? Yi Qinghan got up and walked to the window. He placed his hand on Sis Yao's waist and stroked her gently. No matter how she struggled, she couldn't break free. Do you think I can let you leave without worry? Yi Qinghan asked hoarsely. Yi Qinghan, I don't want to get involved in the grudge between you and that expert. That kind of person isn't someone I can provoke. Sis Yao stopped struggling and allowed Yi Qinghan to continue. As expected, she has guessed it. Yi Qinghan silently mused. His hands became even more brazen as his mind spun rapidly. If Sis Yao knew that his enemy was the realm lord, things would be too dangerous for him. Yi Qinghan exerted force, directly tearing apart the veil covering Sis Yao's body, revealing everything. Bang! Yi Qinghan casually tossed Sis Yao onto the bed. Right now, we are grasshoppers on the same rope. Do you think I don't know that you have a motive for getting close to me? Now that we're halfway through our cooperation, you want to break it off? You already know what you should know and what you shouldn't know. If you want to leave now, you will truly disappoint me. Yi Qinghan coldly stared at the beautiful woman with no emotions. Then what do you want? Sis Yao frowned. She pulled the blanket over and covered half of her body. As expected, it was like hugging a peepa to cover half of her face, adding to her charm. Yi Qinghan evilly laughed. He leaned on top of her and placed his hands on the bed to support himself. He stared at Sis Yao and spoke, I've told you before that I'm not a good person. I'm only responsible for myself. If you help me wholeheartedly and help me keep this a secret, the matter you have with me wouldn't be a problem at all. Isn't it just a city lord? I'll just help you destroy him. Hua Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand and pulled the blanket away. The coldness in his eyes grew even more intense, causing Sis Yao to be incomparably nervous. I like obedient women, and I also like intelligent women. You are very intelligent, being able to guess that I have a great enemy with just a strand of your spiritual sense. However, I hope that you will be obedient. Although I'm not a good person, I'm not unpardonably evil. Those who help me, I will do my best to repay them. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan retracted the golden armor on his body. He faced Sis Yao openly and forcefully suppressed her. That pressure and gentleness caused him to go berserk as he attacked like a madman. Sis Yao let out a low groan as she held onto Zhang Xian's back tightly. You little vixen, why must you force me into danger? Sis Yao harumphed. Chapter 1174. The two of them made love to each other, and Yi Qinghan finally managed to get this woman under control after a series of threats and promises. Sister Yao gave Yi Qinghan a name and told him to find this person. Then, he would bring her to see the third young master. The rest would be up to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was very experienced and confident in dealing with a spoiled brat. Yun Zhonghai was the younger brother of the city lord, Yun Zhongjuan. He was also the uncle of the Yun family's third young master. This Yun Zhonghai seemed to be very fond of Sister Yao, but he didn't have the courage nor the opportunity to get close to her. He could only watch her silently. If Sister Yao had a request, he would definitely fulfill it. Yi Qinghan had Jiolong and Wang Junfeng secretly take control of Black Sky County. They killed all of the county governor's bloodline and secretly sent away the ignorant children so that they would never know their identities. Perhaps this was the greatest mercy for them. On this day, Yi Qinghan and Mo Li brought along He Jundao's broken life token as they teleported from Black Sky County to the city amongst the clouds. The size of the city amongst the clouds was boundless, and the distance between Black Sky County and the city amongst the clouds was immeasurable. This snow empire had tens of thousands of cities in the divine world, and it was obvious that its size was not something the chaos world could compare to. However, not all the cities were guarded by supreme gods. There weren't many supreme gods in the Snow Empire's divine realm either. Although the number was a little exaggerated compared to the Chaos realm, the number was always maintained at a few hundred, neither more nor less. There would only be one realm lord in each realm. Only the Chaos realm didn't have a realm lord. Such a realm's grade was too low, and it was very difficult for a realm lord to appear. Yun Zhongjuan was the city lord of the city amongst the clouds. He wasn't a true paramount god, but he was infinitely close. With his paramount god weapon, he could definitely fight a paramount god. However, he definitely wouldn't win. He was weaker than a paramount god, but stronger than a half-step paramount god. He was lustful, greedy, ruthless, and cruel. He was a complete tyrant. He had tens of thousands of descendants, but only a few were doted on, and the third young master was one of them. Yi Qinghan secretly recalled the information Sister Yao had given him. He learned that the third young master was no different from Yun Zhongjuan. In other words, he had inherited all of his father's good genes. He was greedy, lustful, ruthless, and extremely talented. In just 10,000 years, he had already reached the peak of the giant god realm and was deeply doted by Yun Zhongjuan. Traveling through time and space, the two appeared outside the city amongst the clouds. The city amongst the clouds was towering and thick. The North District was guarded by a large number of cloud guards. If one wanted to enter the North District, not only did one need to have an illustrious identity, one also needed to have a recommendation or a warrant from a direct descendant of the Yun family in the North District. The North District was very big. The streets were 300 meters wide and ran from east to west. There were many adventurers wandering on the south side of the streets, but the north side was empty. Occasionally, there would be troops patrolling. One street blocked the flow of people. On the opposite side of the street was a gate guarded by a large number of guards. No one dared to offend it. The North District was a paradise. Spiritual god stones paved the way, and countless spiritual substances were dancing like fairies. Divine and sacred medicines were in full bloom. It was definitely a holy land for cultivation. Yi Qinghan crossed the street and came to the gate. A big bearded man at the peak of the giant god stage walked over with a cold expression. He said coldly, "Who are you? Do you have a warrant to see me?" "I am Yi Qinghan from the Black Sky County. I have come under the orders of the Fragrance Pavilion's Pavilion Master to meet the Lord Ninth Elder of the Yun family. Please inform him." Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand and sent 2 mystic rank spiritual god stones into the big man's hand quietly. Money makes the world go round. When the big man saw the mystic rank spiritual god stones, he immediately smiled. "Wait here. I will send someone to inform the Lord Elder." After the big man finished speaking, he turned back to the gate and said to a young cultivator, "Go and inform the Lord Ninth Elder that there is a young man outside who has come under the orders of the Fragrance Pavilion's Pavilion Master." That young man quickly left the gate and ran towards the inside. Yi Qinghan stood at the gate. From time to time, young men and women in brocade robes would walk out of the North District. Looking at their attire, they should not be guards, but direct descendants of the Yun family. Those young disciples looked at Yi Qinghan curiously. The rate of turning heads was 100%. The women were all stunned by his appearance and smiled at him. The men of the Yun family, however, had a trace of disdain and hostility. Yi Qinghan smiled at them. He did not want to complicate matters at this time. One would not slap a smiling face. Yi Qinghan's attitude was still considered good-natured. Therefore, even though this group of people had hostility, they did not flare up. Very quickly, a scholarly middle-aged man walked out of the city. His cultivation was slightly stronger than He Jundao. The spiritual essence on his body was very pure. It was pure ice attribute spiritual essence, unlike He Jundao's mixed spiritual essence. His appearance was very handsome, fair and clean. He looked more like a refined prince of an imperial family. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.